That's right, folks. Another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Sunday. It is week one, folks. And you know what that means. We have the Sunday live start sit show. We're going to be answering your start sit questions for the next 3 hours up until kickoff, or until you guys just stop showing up at this point. But we're also excited too. We're going to be breaking down weather updates, injury updates, everything you need to win your fantasy leagues in week one. So let's get started on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel, Sunday live start sit show. All right, we're bringing in Matthew Styles08 on Twitter. What's going on, Matt?
It's Sunday morning, and it's been a year. Well, less than a year because we did every week during the season. But I'm excited. I am sad, right? I don't have anything. I'm a little bit tardy this morning, so I don't really have anything to pour out for our homies. But hopefully Sky and Derek are listening in, and let's get this thing kicked off and make sure that our followers and our listeners are getting the info they need before they go make their eggs and set their lineups.
Yeah, so basically today, folks, we're going to be answering your start sit questions all morning long. We're also going to be bringing you as many updates as we can throughout the day. We have injury updates already in here. We also going to talk a little bit about the weather that's going on right now in the Northeast, how that's going to impact your fantasy leagues. Priority is you, though. We're going to make sure we answer your questions. And just want to let you know that we're super excited to announce that we do have a partnership this year for our Sunday live shows. We actually are going to be partnering with Good Sports. Good Sports is a charity organization that helps provide sporting equipment to underprivileged communities to let kids play sports. So 10% of any money that's donated to the show today and throughout the season will be going to Good Sports. So it goes to a really good cause. So we really appreciate your support for our show, but we're excited to partner with them for the season, and hopefully we hit our goal. We're trying to get as high as we can to donate. So please use that super chat function if you would like. And also we prioritize your question if you become a super chatter here. All right, let's jump into the questions, Matt. Obviously, that's why we're here. We got Colton coming in, letting us know he's in 3 leagues, and we're excited to help you out all season long, dude. It's going to be a lot of fun. First question of the year, Matt. Like, let's pop the champagne. Super excited here. We got a 12-team league, but he's got a quarterback question here. Dak Prescott today going up against the New York Giants, or Aaron Rodgers on Monday night versus the Buffalo Bills?
Oh, I probably go Dak, but I don't love it. And based on my history, right, that we have, the show knows this already, I might lean Aaron Rodgers on Monday night. People are pumping up the Bills, but they're also talking a lot about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, and maybe he comes out and tries to make a statement on Monday night. I know this is the half-ass answer, but my heart says go with Aaron Rodgers, so that means probably go with Dak Prescott.
My heart says go with that, but my body says Dak Prescott.
I was hoping the first question of the year would be Fields or the field.
Never. It's always Fields. I actually will roll with Dak. These Giants games with the Dallas Cowboys are usually really high. They're fun. They've been really good over the last few years. Dak's usually in that 252 range. Honestly, I'm kind of curious to see what the Jets look like week one. Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson. I know we have the running back rotation in the back. I think you just go with, we know that Dak Prescott is under the Mike McCarthy scheme. He's been there for a few years now. We know that they got CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup's healthy now. So I just think you're probably going to get more sure points from him. And I would feel okay starting Dak over Aaron Rodgers in week one.
There's one, two. We agree. Look at that. Right out of it. It's like family.
Love it. Love every second of that. All right. Let's jump down to the next question from Colton. We got 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. We got James Conner, Aaron Jones, Jamar Chase, Chris Olave, Javonte Williams, Cordell Patterson, Jacoby Myers, Rondell Moore, and Deebo Samuel. So it looks like we need to start 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. What do you got, Matt?
It's easy. He's already got it in order. Deebo is the flex. It's got to be Conner and Jones. It's got to be Chase and Olave, and it's got to be Deebo.
Yeah, I think I would say Deebo as well in the flex. I will say with the Javonte Williams, if you guys, we also partner with SixScore.com. It's one of our new partners too. Go to Sports Injury Central. Javonte is like under 50% on their SixScore for week one. So I'm going to take a wait and see approach at Javonte. They're talking up this other kid, McLaughlin. They have P. Ryan. So I think I'm going to take a step back on Javonte. And I think I'm going to go with Matt on this one as well. Colton, fill in
Yeah,
the question.
I'm the same. For Javonte, I want at least a one prove it week.
I agree. I think it's going to be a ramp up for
Yep.
Javonte. It's just clear by their 6 scores that he's not going to be 100%. I actually bet his rushing under today. It's like 50 yards. So
Yep.
we'll see how that goes. All right, let's go to the PPR tight end question. We got Dalton Schultz, Houston, and then Gerald Everett for Seattle for week 1. What do you got for this one, Matt?
I don't mind either one, right? They're not one of the top names, but I'm sure that if we hit a lull here, we're going to get into the fact that the tight end landscape is a nightmare right now. A lot of the top names are dinged or out or trending towards out. In this, I think, and I've been saying this to a lot of people, Houston's going to throw, they're going to run, they're going to score points. They're not going to be as bad as they were last year. They're not going to be great. But the Chargers are going to throw all the time. I probably lean Everett because it's Herbert over the rookie quarterback in his first start. That's probably where I would go. But I don't have an issue with either one. Obviously, Colton, not obviously, but I assume Colton waited on tight end. Look at some of his other names that he's got above and below. So I probably lean Everett just slightly based on the quarterback.
Yeah. There we go.
But your beautiful mind could kick in. I could listen to your
Charge. So the one thing I would say is that last season this would be pretty easy, right? Because Gerald Everett is going up against Miami in week 1, and Miami is awful against tight ends, but they also just moved to Vic Fangio. So I honestly think that I'd probably lean Gerald Everett just because of the matchup. I do like the fact that Kellen Moore comes in, and Kellen Moore has been known to feature tight ends. Look at what Dalton Schultz has done the last few years. Ironically, the same question. But, I think that's where I lean. I'm going to go that direction. But at the same time, I think Schultz is going to be okay this year. I think he's going to be all right. But I think I'm going to go Gerald Everett week 1. All right, Defense question. I love it. We're going to get to Cole. I mean, at this point, Madon, I love it. We got you plenty of questions here. All right, so we got Packers, Vikings, Raiders, Rams. We got the field here. It looks like we're looking for a streamer defense this week. I personally will tell you that the Commanders are my number 1, but they're pretty much taken now. Then it's Jacksonville as well. I like them against the Colts. I think Anthony Richardson's a nice player. He's going to be good for fantasy, but I think he's going to make mistakes. And I also like the Falcons as a deep sleeper as well. But is there a name on this list, Matt, that you like a little better?
So, not to be repetitive, but I will repeat myself. It looks like Colton waited on tight end / kicker, or pardon me, defense. Yep, I'm still waking up. Defense. The sneaky one I see in there, I like the Steelers for the long term, but not against San Francisco. And I will take from this list the Seahawks against the Rams.
Okay.
No Cooper Kupp. We don't know what Akers is going to bring, even though I think he's going to be fine long term, mainly because you talked me into sometimes Akers or most of the time Akers. I just want to see what Stafford's arm is like, and he doesn't have his number 1 threat. So I will go Seahawks. I won't be happy about it. I'm with you, though. Week 1, Commanders is the absolute perfect. I waited on defense, and I'm going to stream with the Commanders. And by the way, they're not going to be terrible all year. They're going to be really good against Arizona, and they'll be in the mix throughout. They'll probably be the best stream defense throughout the year.
Yeah, I think from this list too, I think I'm kind of backed into a corner because none of the guys that I just said are in there. So.
But it's early. People may not remember what you said the last question.
No, it's fine. I honestly, I think the Vikings might be okay against the Bucks today. They are going for Brian Flores, a bunch of shakeups in the secondary, but it's Baker Mayfield. He's probably good for a pick or two there, and they also do have a decent front that could get pressure on Baker as well. All right, let's bring in. We got more people coming in, folks. We're super excited to roll out the red carpet for Gladys L. Tyler, who just decided she's like, you know what, folks?
What?
Morning.
You know what? Pop it in for just a quick hello.
Cheers.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Gladys, how's it going? It's Sunday Live.
I know.
We're doing it. We're
It's
doing it.
So
man.
much fun. So much fun. I just have a comment real quick on that
Go
last list that you showed. What up, Jamie? who totally ignored me in the last chat we were in, but that's okay, Jamie. I still love you.
Shots fired first thing in the morning.
I know. Dude, I've been up since 2 o'clock, so it's not first thing in the morning for me. The Steelers defense, they're and it's not because I'm a homer, although I am. With TJ Watt on the field, their pressure percentage goes skyrocket. And Purdy last year, he only played against like 2 teams that pressured him. The other, when he was like spectacular, he was playing teams that were in the bottom 20 in pressure. And he has that sore arm. I like the Steelers, and Myles Garrett has always had Joe Burrow's number. I like the Browns too against Cincinnati. So
bold. I like it. Gladys is our local.
What?
It's so early. All right, I'm only 1 coffee in right now, so just leave me alone. I won't be right until about 8 a.m. time. So, all right, let's get into the next one. We got 2 start League 2. I think it's all right. Yeah, it looks like you said. Here you go, Matt. Here's a Justin Fields question: Justin Fields or Dak Prescott?
Contractually, I don't think I have to answer these, right?
Actually, it's the opposite of that. What you just said, it's the opposite. You actually have to answer these. Actually, so.
All right, I'll just do it. I'll just do it really quick and really quiet. Good morning, Gladys. Justin Fields.
Morning, Matt. How are you?
Good. You look beautiful, Justin Fields. So I figure if she wants to answer this, I'll let her get to the front of the line. I
something told me I should say Justin Fields.
Yeah. So I just paid $1 so in the super chat so Gladys can move to the front of the answer the question line.
All right, perfect.
Justin Fields or Dak Prescott? Justin Fields. $1.99. Wait, what? What's happening?
What? Look at this.
Yeah, $1.99 has been outbid.
Shout out to Derek for giving us our first super chat of the year. And by the way, folks, as a reminder, we will prioritize anybody that's willing to donate to the show. We obviously will get to every one of your questions as soon as we can. But as a reminder, too, we're excited to announce we are partnering with Good Sports this year. It's a charity organization that donates sporting equipment to underprivileged communities to help kids play sports. So 10% of every dollar you give us will go to Good Sports. So donate to the show. We appreciate it for our staff, but we also will be giving back as well. So excited for that. So we got Derek's question. Shout out to Derek, our first super chatter of the year. He gets it, man. We got a Darren Waller question. Obviously, we'll have an injury report later. Darren Waller looks like he will probably play today. But let's say he isn't, or we find out right before kickoff he is limited. Logan Thomas or Noah Fant, down to you, Glass. Which one of these would you take?
I'm going to go Logan Thomas if he's healthy. I would check on Thomas's health. If Thomas is healthy, go Logan Thomas. If he's not healthy, then, of course, you're going to go Noah Fant, which isn't a terrible choice because the Rams aren't that great this year. All they have is Aaron Donald on that front seven. Their secondary sucks, but you're also talking about Metcalf. Lockett. Is JSN playing today? Is he hurt or is he in?
He's in. Looks like, yeah.
Fant's like 4th or 5th in that rotation. I would go Logan Thomas. He's going to be at least 2nd or 3rd in that rotation with Sam Howell.
I'm going with Logan Thomas as well. Some of the same reasons that Gladys said. And I can tell you this. I would not want to come out of the draft with Darren Waller, play him. He is either significantly limited or sits, and you go 0-1, you're going to be you're just going to kill yourself, right? You're going to be so mad that you did that, knowing that the long game with Waller is that he needs to be fully healthy to be fully productive. So I'll take the safe bet and go Logan Thomas. Now, I will say this to Derek, who's probably listening in. If there's an Irv Smith sighting on your waiver wire, I might lean Irv Smith over those two that he threw into the chat.
Dude, have you started drinking already? I'm just curious. I just want to.
I should. No, we had a little bit of a rough
I'm just kidding. I told you.
Tired.
I've been up since 2. I have no sense of filter. Not that I have it anyway, but.
We are actually I'm going to go to Logan Thomas as well. If you look at the Arizona Cardinals defense, sorry to get off Matt's drinking habits for today. So, Logan Thomas is actually the guy I'd take. Arizona was terrible last year. And there's just a lot of they just don't seem like a team that's really excited to win this year. So I'm going to probably say they're not going to completely they're not going to turn it around against tight ends this season. So I like Logan Thomas as a streamer as well. All right, let's get back up to the other question. But before we get that and finalize Colton's question, we have another host / co-host today, Sky Gawad. I like Sky. I think he's live from the airport, by the way.
I'm literally sitting in the Seattle airport, folks. I got about 15 minutes. Let's rock and roll. I'm not missing opening day.
Seattle airport? How do you like Seattle?
Absolutely love it.
I'm happy.
Sky Fields or Dak Prescott?
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. I wonder who I'm going to take. I'm going to probably say Justin Fields as well. I do got to tell you that much right there. All right, jumping down to the next question from Colt. We have another one here. A lot of running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. We got Chubb, James Conner, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, Jacoby Myers, or Jamal Williams. Sky, you're brand new to the show. Jump on in. What do you think of this one?
Chubb, Jamal Williams, Tyreek, and Keenan Allen are automatic. And in the flex, let's go with Chris Olave.
He only has 2 running backs on there, right? So
no, it's Chubb, Connor.
I don't count Connor. You
Jamal
can't count
Williams.
any Arizona player. So he only has 2 running backs on there. Yeah, Arizona. Yeah, no. Yeah.
So who's the 3 receivers you got, Gladys?
2 receivers and a flex. Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Keenan Allen. Tyreek Hill plays late. Chris Olave plays early. I would put Keenan Allen in the flex. Yeah. Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Keenan Allen in the flex.
Matt?
Yep, we're 3 for 3. It's up to you, Bob. Is it the first? No, because oh my God, was Fields the first 4 quad? It was the.
Yeah,
all right.
very.
Oh, look at the time. It looks like I got to go. Sky, I'll meet you at the Starbucks, and we're at gate B53. So it looks like my internet time is running out.
Perfect. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Chubb, Jamal Williams as well, Hill, Olave, and Keenan Allen for this matchup. All right, let's jump down to another question we got here from Colton. We got Tyler Higbee, George Kittle. Matt, what do you got for this tight end?
Tyler Higbee.
Gladys.
Seattle's really bad against the tight end position. However, Tyler Higbee had 2 really bad games last year against Seattle. However, no Cooper Kupp. I'm going to go Tyler Higbee. I think Kittle's coming in hampered a little bit with the hamstring or something. So Tyler Higbee, but temper your expectations.
Higbee as well. I'm not messing with the groin injury. I'm going to go Higbee.
Is it groin? What is up with these groin and hamstrings going on?
Pittsburgh is very good inside as well. Also,
yeah, they are.
Yeah, the irony is usually it's the end, the tight end that's always tight, not the hamstrings. All right, there you go. Get it? Because they're tight ends.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
All right. They don't need the jokes. Don't need to be good for another hour. So it's fine. I don't even care. All right, let's jump down to a kicker question, which are my favorite always. I mean this with all my heart. Always bring kicker questions. Always. I love them to death. We got McManus, Cairo Santos, Greg Joseph, Cameron Dicker, and Dustin Hopkins. Now, I will tell you, go check my kicker primer. I literally wrote up an article this offseason. All the guys I love. One of the guys on this list that I love is Cameron Dicker, the Chargers kicker. I like him a lot this season, so I'd probably lean him here. But, Sky, let's go to you. What do you think about these kickers?
Let me defer really quick. I'm going to bring up my rankings on this.
All right, Matt, what do you got?
It's Dicker, Cameron Dicker. There's a reason this kid's in the league. It's not his name. It should be, but that's not why. Yeah, I'm going with Dicker on this list.
What about you, Gladys?
It would be between Dicker and Joseph. I just like kickers indoors. That's how I choose my kicker, and a team that's going to score lots of points. So I think Dicker have the highest over under. So Dicker for today.
Yeah, Miami's a decent matchup as well.
Yeah,
I'm going to mix it up. Actually, I'm going to go McManus. I'm outnumbered here, but I do like Jags. McManus no longer Broncos, Jaguar, and I think the Jags going to run it up on the Colts early. They're also indoors. So I'm outnumbered here, but I like Brandon McManus the best out of this group.
Sky, I love you to death, but your audio is horrific right now. So I'm just going to say you're a very pretty face. We want you to be on the stream. Maybe keep your answers a little short because it's all crackles. So love you anyway. All right, let's get into defense here. We have another one from Colton. We have Ravens, Jags, Falcons, Eagles, Panthers, Bears, Cardinals, Titans, Broncos, Bengals. I think we kind of answered this as a whole last time. Does anybody have an opposition to the Jags versus Colts in this one? Does anybody think there's a better matchup amongst this group personally? Anybody?
No, but for long term, I'm going Eagles for sure.
Right. Eagles. Yeah.
They should not be available to stream. They should be picked up.
Yeah, good point. Sky?
Ravens for me. Houston's terrible.
Gladys?
Ravens. Houston's front.
Ravens.
Houston's O line.
All right. Ravens. Looks like a good call there. All right. Let's jump down here. One more from Colton. We got a couple more here. Let's get into this one. We have Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson getting a shout out here. I think we're all good with Fields, right? I think we're all good with Fields. Just let's just go there. All right, jumping down to the next one. All right, Sky, are you clicking? Are you clicking, Sky, right now? You're clicking, aren't you? You're probably clicking. All right, I'm gonna let you click, Sky. You click. Whoever's clicking. Everyone's hands up. Everyone hands up right now.
Styles.
Is it you? Oh, all right.
It was
Matthew. That I'm gonna need you not to do that. I told when we see a super chat, you give me a little nod, and we'll get the super chat up. Otherwise, I'll click. No worries. All right.
I'm just really excited to be here.
It's the first show. We're gonna have some mistakes. I mean, It is what it is. We're only 20 minutes in, and this is already a disaster. All right, let's get it. We got a couple more here. Colton, we got two running backs, a receiver, and a flex. So we have T. Higgins, Bijan, J.K., Rashad Bateman, Javonte, Brian Robinson, and Quentin Johnston. I think for the group, personally, I would say Javonte Williams and Quentin Johnston are easy outs. I think I'm going to obviously start Bijan, get him in there as well. Probably go J.K. Dobbins as my other RB. And I'm going to go T. Higgins and Brian Robinson. That's my
who are your automatic outs? I'm sorry. Javonte and who?
Quentin Johnston.
Oh, okay.
Gladys, step in. Go ahead.
I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins and Brian Robinson. And a receiver, T. Higgins. And a flex. I really don't. Bijan.
Gladys, Bijan Robinson is on the list.
Well, I mean, yeah, but people are like just forgetting Tyler Algier had that really great year last year, and Bijan's a rookie, and I don't think that they're going to have him like running the entire time. So I would put Bijan in the flex maybe because of the draft capital you spent on him, but I would also temper my expectations this week for Bijan.
Oh, Gladys, if you roster Bijan Robinson in any league, I would love to get an empty slot in that league, and I'll have a trade for whoever you
I didn't draft
Bijan
Robinson in any of my 20 leagues. I do not have any piece of Bijan Robinson. I do have a couple pieces of Tyler Algier, but none Bijan Robinson.
But that was mostly on draft cost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
don't give her an out.
Oh, no, that's what we do here, Matt. We are a collective family, and I'm going to protect my family, young man. What I'm saying is, like, obviously where he was going, I have zero Bijan too, but I wasn't fading Bijan. I just
it was like going in the first round, and I had like pick 8 and 12 in every draft I was in.
I was picking.
I think so.
I was picking Tony Pollard every time, so that's why. Anyway, all right.
Here we go. Number 2.
Well, hold on. Let's Sky finish first. Before we finish the question, Matt.
I don't know. He already gave us his answer.
Matt, I'm gonna just do this on air. Typically we do this pre-show, but Matt showed up 2 minutes before the show started. Matt, I just want to let you know that we're gonna finish the question we're answering at the time. When the super chat comes up, once we're done, you then bring that up. All right. So, Scott, we appreciate your donation. We love this. Please donate. We do love that, every second of that. But let's get back to the other question that we were about to finish. So, Sky, what do you got?
Bijan, Dobbins, T. Higgy, Brian Robinson. Shout out to Scott Eminger, longtime
Got it. Scott, welcome back, buddy. We appreciate the donation, man. Honestly, love every second of it. All right, we got the half PPR Pickens, OBJ, and Brandon Cooks. By the way, we love the format, guys. Make sure you tell us the format because that's very important. We want to know if it's PPR versus half PPR, etc. If you're giving us a QB question or something, and there's a super flex involved, and there's a flex player with a QB, let us know. Always good for us. Let's jump over to Matt. What do you think of this question? Who do you got?
Well, I was looking for a tissue because I got lambasted for trying to do my part online, and so now I'm sad, and I don't want to be sad on the first Sunday of football. But the first thing that had me sad was I've already had to answer 2 Fields questions. Then I'm sad because Gladys has got what appears to be a beverage that I'd like to have right now, but nobody brought me one, so I'm upset about that. I'm just overall sad. I don't love Pickens' matchup today. I don't like OBJ at all, period. Not going to roster him, not going to play him, not going to do anything but talk bad about him. So I will go with Brandon Cooks today. And in fact, I have that very decision in a league, and I'm sitting Pickens for Cooks today.
Interesting. Sky?
Brandon Cooks. Last one for me. Good luck, everybody. Thanks, Scott.
Bye,
All right,
Sky.
Scott,
Have a
man.
safe flight.
Thanks for coming, man. Yeah, be safe, man. Talk to you soon. Gladys?
I'm gonna go. Hold on 1 sec. Give me one second, please. 1 second.
I'll just answer really quick too.
Okay.
I think Tre'Davious Ward is right now he's questionable. He's one of the best outside quarterbacks for the 49ers. They also lost Emmanuel Mosley this offseason too. So I do think there is some vulnerabilities for the 49ers secondary, especially because they moved to Steve Wilkes. So I actually might be okay with Pickens here. However, if Ward plays, I do think I'd rather lean Brandon Cooks because the Giants last year did allow more fantasy points out wide according to our metrics. So I would be okay with that matchup. I think it's Pickens 1 if Ward's out. If he's in, then maybe I slip over to Brandon Cooks. What's your thoughts, Gladys?
I'm going to go Pickens because of it's a PPR, and I think that the 49ers are excellent in the run game, and Pickett is going to have to throw the ball, and Pickens is like one of his favorite targets, although if you have Deontay Johnson, I would go with him first. But Pickens.
All right, let's jump down to let's see where we left off here, folks. We've got a lot of questions rolling in here right now. We have a half PPR Pat Firemuth question here. Pat Firemuth or Chig Kongu? Chig, big. Honestly, I feel like Chig was super exciting early on in the offseason, and then like they signed Hopkins, and then we stopped hearing about him. Firemuth today as well got the 49ers, which is always a really tough defense against tight ends. What's your thoughts, Gladys?
It's a PPR league. PPR, I would go with the team who's going to have to pass the ball the most and doesn't have Derrick Henry as a fallback. So I'm going to go Firemuth.
Matt?
I'm the same way. I just think he's the better tight end, so that's who I'll go with.
I got to tell you,
Don't do
the
it.
team. No, I can't do Chig either because like New Orleans, they have New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans is like even better than the 49ers against tight ends last year. And these defenses didn't have a lot. They have the same. Well, the 49ers now have Steve Wilkes, but the Saints still have the same Dennis Allen, and I think that their personnel is relatively the same. So I actually gonna go Pat Firemuth in this scenario as well. All right, Colton keeps us spry in the morning. We appreciate you, buddy. I think we're gonna go back to the well here. Is there any kicker on the list? We got Elliott, Graham, Gano, Cameron Dicker, Will Lutz, Matt Gay. I know you're a Dicker guy, correct? Matt, Gladys, thoughts here?
Dicker, sure.
All right, we like it. All right, moving on. we got a second question here for a second person. Thank you. All right, well, Cole, we appreciate it, man. Honestly, it's way to get in early. Get your questions up right away. We can get to you the priority. If you guys do remember, as a reminder, if you guys decide you want to donate to the show, we will prioritize your question. And as a reminder, 10% of all of your donations go to Good Sports. All right, let's jump down to Patricio. Oh, he was on the show the other day. He's like, he's Spanish, and I butchered it. But he's got some more. I need someone with a little more flavor to say his name because I'm
Patricio.
There you go. Hey, bop it a boop. All right, that sounded good. All right, Ramondre Stevenson versus Lockett for the flex. So obviously Stevenson was dealing with a stomach bug, but it sounds like he'll be in today. And then we also have Lockett going up against that new Rams secondary, whatever that is. So let's go, Matt. What do you think? Which one of these guys?
So tell me, Bob, what do your metrics say about Stevenson's matchup? So he's going to both run and catch the football, right? You probably drafted him as your running back 1 or 2, depending on how wide receiver heavy you went. So I have this question in my home league. I want to play Stevenson, but the illness was a tad concerning. I'm not concerned about Ezekiel Elliott playing time. I'm more concerned about with who he's going to face. And by the way, it's a 1 running back must start league. I'm starting Jamal Williams. Do I put Ramondre in the flex? I love Lockett, but I think that I lean Ramondre if your analytics say that the defense is a good matchup for him.
Well, they got the Eagles.
Yeah.
And so honestly, the Eagles were not a bad matchup last year for adjusted line yards. So that's what I use for our matchup metrics. I think that you're probably going to get like an every down skill set from Ramondre. I know Elliott's there, but Elliott, like they were like, I heard a report that they had him in one of those garbage bag jackets because he had to drop weight. I'm like, really? They're like, hey, Zeke, don't worry about it. We'll sign you and we're going to get you skinny. And I'm like, what kind of philosophy is that? But anyway, I think that Stevens is going to be your every down player. But I think, and another aspect of this question, though, is Lockett's going up against the Rams. And the Rams are like, they've got no Ramsey anymore. Their secondary is very confusing. If you look at like what they did, you're like, I don't even know if they're going to be any good this year. They weren't even good last year with Ramsey. So I actually think I would go with Lockett. But Gladys, before we finalize, what do you think?
Lockett.
I think Lockett makes sense too. I want to see the 2022 game logs. That's what we do. We're gonna spot check live. Last season against the Rams, he went 4 for 54 and 1, 9 for 128 and 1 against the Rams last year. Tyler Lockett. So let's go Lockett. I like it. Feels good. Feels good to be a little risque in the morning. All right. We have Colton again. Colton, right when you think we're done with you, Colton, he comes right back in and gets you.
Welcome to the Colton Razzball Start Sit
show. Honestly, love every second. The good thing is we have 3 hours, so Colton filled up the first half, so that's perfect. We have the Ravens, Falcons, Saints, Vikings, Packers, Bears. So it just seems like a lot of these defensive questions are mostly streamers. This one, I think the Ravens was probably the consensus last time. It seems like that'll be the thing. The Bears and the Packers face each other. The Vikings got Tampa Bay. That's actually a decent matchup against Baker Mayfield. The Saints will have the Tennessee Titans. So that's kind of a question mark, especially with Derrick Henry. Falcons get the Carolina Panthers, who won't have DJ Chark. And then, of course, the Ravens have Houston with rookie CJ Stroud. So anybody have any is everyone leaning Ravens, or is there any different stuff here?
I'm good with the Ravens, and if I had to take one of the bottom 2, it would be Green Bay. Has the better defense over Chicago for sure.
I'm gonna go Ravens against estimated Houston front line. O-line, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Ravens is a fine call. I really like the Falcons today. I think I think Bryce Young, if you watch the preseason, he just didn't look that sharp. And I think they had to kind of go in with it. And then you factor in now his receiving core is a little depleted. I think I'm going to go Falcons here. My personal sleeper defense for the week. All right, let's do the first Isaiah. Like Gerald Alvarado. Appreciate you being on the show, buddy. We honestly love the question here. I like Isaiah Likely's going up against Houston. Mark Andrews looks doubtful today, most likely out. Then you have Juwan Johnson today going up against the Tennessee Titans. What do we got, Gladys? Who do you like out of these two?
I like Juwan Johnson with Carr against the Titans. The Titans are a pass funnel team. Like their run defense is spectacular, but their pass defense sucks. So I'm going to go Juwan Johnson at home in the dome with a new quarterback.
Matthew Styles.
In my mind, Isaiah Likely is the best non-starting tight end in the NFL. Right, he's behind Mark Andrews. He's not going to start, but they'll play 2 tight end sets at times where they'll both be on the field. He turns into kind of like a slot receiver, even though he's a massive individual. If Andrews does not play, I'm going Likely 99 times out of 100 over Juwan Johnson.
I'm going to go Juwan Johnson. Tennessee was a top 4 matchup last year for tight ends, according to my metrics. And I do think that Derek Carr has shown in the past he likes those tight ends. He likes them a little bit. So
who doesn't?
I don't know. Honestly, Scott, appreciate you as always. Honestly, Scott gets another donation for us. We appreciate it, man.
went
Super
green.
chat. Become a super chatter, folks. It's really cool. All the cool kids are doing it. Ask Scott. He's hip as hell. All right, let's go. 14T PPR League flex spot. We have Slayton Puka Nakua, by the way, who is going to get a lot of action today with Cooper Kupp out. We have Josh Downs, the slot receiver for the Colts. And then we also have Dawson Knox getting a little love, sharing that tight end position with Dalton Kincaid. Gladys, what's your thoughts here?
Wow. I don't like Dawson Knox because I think Kincaid's going to be the catching down. I don't like Downs. I'm going to go Puka Nakua. I think that they're going to be throwing the ball, and they have to throw it to someone. And 14-team PPR flex. I don't really have that much confidence in Slayton. Sorry.
They got Gilmore now too, which is
I'm gonna go Nakua. I think PPR he might get like 3-4 receptions, and he showed some spark during preseason, although it's preseason. But I like Nakua. Go on Nakua.
Matthew Styles.
So the last 3 questions we've addressed, I actually, right before I put my head on the pillow last night, I said your sneaky starts for week 1 based on injuries are Ramondre Stevenson, because he's not injured. He would just have a stomach bug. Jamal Williams, because Miller and Kamara are out. Kupp is out, so it's Puka Nakua. And my last one was Isaiah Likely. I'm going with Nakua all year because Van Jefferson is terrible at football. So even if Kupp was back, I'm leaning Puka Nakua in this one. So I'm all in on Puka Nakua. And look at Scott, by the way. That's not – our first color was not green. This $4.99 deposit is green. I'd like to see what a $7.99 deposit would be.
Well, Scott, actually, I totally missed this. He says, miss #Buck Army. My original show that we used to do it on the Fantasy Focused channel with Buck and Ryan, and that was a really good time. So #Buck Army is an old school throwback. We appreciate you. I got to get Buck on here. Honestly, you know what, Scott? Forget about missing Buck. Let's get him back on the show. I'm gonna reach out to Buck. That's a very good idea. I appreciate that. All right, let's jump down to our next question here. We got Connor.
Who did you pick?
Oh, I didn't pick a player. Jeez, I'm sorry. Puka Nakua. I like that a lot. I like that call out. I think Seattle is going to put up points, and I think that's what I care about. I think the Gilmore being opposite of Trayvon Diggs. I know Diggs allows a lot of big plays, but I do think that secondary now with Gilmore as a mainstay on the outside kind of gives me, I want to see someone beat that team first. So I know that's a crazy way to put it, but like Puka Nakua, like I'll admit I'm a little hesitant because we don't know what the receiving. I think the Chiefs game scared me mentally because like we don't have a clue what the Rams receiving core is going to look like right now. Like everyone say it's Van Jefferson, but then they also Ben Skoranek he's going to run the right routes kind of guy. Like, and coaches are like, hey, we want to make sure you're just in the right spot. So Puka Nakua could be rotating in with Tutu Atwell. We don't know. But I would say I believe in what Matt's saying too. I like the matchup with Seattle, and I think the Rams, Matthew Stafford's a talent elevator. So I think he's going to be able to help out too. So my answer went from no answer to a long answer. That's all. That's the only 2 options I have. I don't have anything in the middle. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Bob, can we finish answering a question before we move on to the next one? Thanks.
Yeah, we can. That's a good point. I'll work on it. I'm trying to work on it. Anyway, all right, Connor LaRose. I think it's LaRose. Sorry, Connor. If you want to let us know pronunciation, it's still early here. It's not 8 a.m. yet. All right, pick 2 full PPR: Drake London, Cortland Sutton, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and I have Bijan Robinson as well. So I think it's Bijan, Drake London, Cortland Sutton, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. Gladys, over to you first. What do you think?
Does that mean he's playing Bijan? So he's selling us because of the Drake London addition? Is that what he's saying? That he has Bijan already rostered? And
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
So I'm going on that premise.
Yeah.
So 2 full PPR. I'm going to go. I like London this week, but he has Bijan. I'm going to go Sutton and Dotson. Sutton, no Jerry Jeudy. Dotson against Arizona. Arizona's like your get free card. It's like play anyone against Arizona. And Terry McLaurin, I think, is hurt. I think he's coming in injured. If he plays, he's playing like with whatever injury a turf toe. I think is the last thing I heard. So I'm going to go Dotson and Sutton for sure.
Yeah, McLaurin's 6 score, which is Sports Injury Central, is a 64. So just imagine that you're getting about 64 to 70% of what McLaurin is usually. So, he's probably more of a flex play in a good matchup than he would be. Normally, he'd be like a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside. So just to throw out that nugget. All right, Matt, what do you think?
Is Judy trending down, or have they ruled him out? Last night he was trending towards playing.
He was trending towards playing, but he was the last practice he practiced limited with a hamstring injury.
Okay, so again, we don't want to lose week 1 because we started an injured player, right? And when we have all these other fresh options. So I'm on the same premise. Assume Bijan is already starting on this roster. I will probably follow along with Gladys and go Sutton and Dotson, even though for the season long it's probably Drake London for me. But that's a tough. Atlanta's a tough offense to start 2 players from until we see them really with Desmond Ridder. So yeah, I lean Sutton and Dotson today.
Yeah, the Panthers secondary is one that has a ton of talent. Like they have so much invested in that secondary. They were bad last year, but I think they're going to be better than they should have been last year. And their new DC is the guy from the Denver Broncos. So the Broncos were very good. So I think the Panthers secondary is underrated. So I actually agree. You got Bijan, fade that. I'm going to go with you guys as well with Dotson and also go with Sutton as well. Sutton actually played very well against the Raiders last year, and with Judy kind of banged up, I think there's something there as well. All right, Mark De Silva. I like it. How you doing? Happy football day. Full PPR. Need 1 running back. Brian Robinson, Mostert, or Akers? Ooh. What do you got, Matt?
I go with Akers. He's all they've got at the running back position, and they're going to try to keep the points down against Seattle. So I go with Akers to run the ball.
Gladys?
Full PPR, I'm going to go with Mostert. They are going to have to score points in that game. He is their one healthy running back, even if Arcane plays. And he has taken passes out of the backfield. I'm going Mostert on that one. PPR. If it wasn't PPR, I'd go Robinson.
I got to admit, these are 2 of my guys. Cam Akers, actually all 3 of these guys I like. Brian Robinson, Mostert, and Akers I have a bunch of. I actually am going to go with Mostert. The one way you beat the Chargers is you run against them. They are terrible against the run. And there's no Jeff Wilson this week. There's also no Devin A. Chain. Chain looks like he's out this game. So it's probably going to be Salvin Ahmed behind Raheem Mostert. I think you're going to probably get a very productive day from Mostert. So I am in on that. Mark jumps down another question from the quarterback position. Glad you're going to kick us off first. We have Deshaun Watson, Sam Howell.
Sam Howell, baby.
Sam Howell, baby. It's those Arizona Cardinals.
Against the Arizona Cardinals and Sam Howell, baby. Sam Howell, Mark, all day.
What do you got, Matt?
Same. Sam Howell for me.
Sam Howell. Oh, man. I love it. I totally, honestly, what a way to start the season, Sam. Get it done. I'm in. Let's do it. Sam Howell, get in there, buddy. Have a day. What's up, man? All right. So we have Rachaad White, Cam Akers question here. We got Rachaad White going up against Minnesota. We also have Cam Akers going up against Seattle. Matt, what's your thoughts here? Full PPR.
I'll stay on the Akers train here and go with him. Even though the PPR puts it a little bit towards White, I just don't know that Tampa, that offensive line is going to let him run the ball at all. So, and as much as I quote unquote love Baker for making one bold prediction in my entire life that was attached to Baker Mayfield, I don't think he's the answer.
Gladys?
I'm going to go with Rachaad White. Minnesota has gone to Brian Flores. They're going to blitz the heck out of Baker, and Baker likes to drop off the ball, and Rachaad White is the running back 1 there. So White or Godwin in that offense today?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Akers. I think Yeah, he showed us a lot down the stretch. So I'm in with Akers as well. With no Cooper Kupp, I think he will be the foundation. He did it with Baker Mayfield last year. So ironically, this question is like, well, Baker's now with the Bucks, but I'd rather take Matthew Stafford and let offense. Anyway, let's jump down. Lindorphins. How you doing, buddy? Honestly, good to see you again. Not see you, but, read your question. Whatever. It's fine. You know what I mean. All right. Forgive the additional defensive question. We do forgive you because we love defense. We love kickers. We love it all here, buddy. Just bring every question you got because we like to bring an additional analysis for you. Plus, Gladys lives for defense. All she does write about defense. I try to ask her a question about a wide receiver. She just tells me about the quarterback. That's our girl. That's why we love her. All right. She's all about the defense. Anyway, so you choose my drafted Philly against New England or stream Seattle against the Rams. Matt, what's your thoughts?
You drafted Philly for a reason. No reason to roster two defenses unless you have somebody that you can move to IR and you feel great about Seattle. I'm starting Philly in that matchup.
What's the over-under in that Philly game? 45 and a half? 45 and a half.
That's a great question.
Thanks. 45 and a half is the over-under. And
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, I have it right here. I think that Mac Jones is more likely to be advantageous to a defense, especially the Eagles defense. I'm going to go stick with your defense that you picked. There's no reason. Whoa, what happened to – there you go. Philly against New England. Yeah, new defensive coordinator. It's going to be a little scary at first, but it's Philly against New England.
All right, Matt, listen, I'm going to tell you, it's something with the focus. My focus, it does this weird thing where I have to, fade it back in.
No offense, but your words are more important than your face, buddy. We love you, but
my wife, my future wife says the same thing, so it's totally fine. So, yikes, right? Now we're talking about marital issues on the show. What are we doing? This is a Sunday Live Start Sit show, Bob. Anyway, yeah, I might be in the minority here, but my thought process is I hate the big time defenses because typically they don't end up being the big time defenses during the year because it's fantasy football. It's not real football. So last year, it's no one was predicting certain defense. The top 3 defenses last year were not the top 3 drafted defenses last year. So it's the Eagles against the Patriots. I think you're going to start them. You should, but I don't think I'm going to just start the Eagles every week blindly. I'm not going to be Eagles are over everything. So I personally like to stream when I can, unless there's a team that emerges and this has a ridiculous schedule where they're playing either average or below average offenses for the next 4 or 5 weeks. But I would say that because you drafted them, I would take the Eagles. Plus, Mac Jones I'm not scared by Mac Jones. And so, I think you're okay there. It's not like you're going to play the Eagles against Joe Burrow or the Eagles against Patrick Mahomes or something. Well, joke's on us. The Lions scored a touchdown. Thanks, Kadarius Toney. But anyway, so I think I'm good with the Eagles here as well. Let's jump down to another question from Lindorphins and a half PPR. We are starting Akers, Dobbins over J.D. Cook. Is that Dalvin or is that?
Dalvin's his middle name.
Oh,
so James Dalvin Cook.
Touche. All right, touche.
Dalvin not good Cook, for much.
Just so people know. Matt, you're great for everything. We love you. Anyway, the reason why this is a good question is because a report came out just an hour ago that they're going to lean on Cook on Monday night and let Breece Hall kind of get warmed up. So you're basically saying, do you want to start Akers versus Seattle and J.K. Dobbins versus Houston over Cook against Buffalo if you know he's going to be the 1A? So
no, that's James Cook. His middle name is Dalvin. James Dalvin Cook.
Oh, so this is Buffalo.
This is the younger Cook, correct?
This is why I'm out. I can't. I'm already done. I'm done with these Cooks. Well, it's the same thing, same game. Sorry, the Jets game. So you have the Jets matchup. So what's your thoughts here, Gladys? Akers, Dobbins, James Cook from the Buffalo Bills.
His instincts is right. He's going to start Akers and Dobbins. You're correct. You are correct, Lindorphins. Lynn or her. Lindorphins. Could be a her. But yeah.
I'm all in on James Cook this year, but this question is very interesting for week one. Seattle's not great at stopping the run. They're not great at stopping anything. There's going to have to be points on the board. I've already gone Akers twice. You guys have kind of convinced me, you and Derek, on this J.K. Dobbins guy. I've never heard of him before. I don't follow Ohio State football. So, God, I think Gladys might be right, which means Lindorphins might be right. I don't love it. Is that fair to say that? I'll go with Gladys, right? I'll get on the train with her and say Akers and Dobbins. I don't love not starting Cook, but it does. You don't have to start your best players every single week. So I'm with you.
Against the Jets, is that the Cook he's talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, it's James Cook. You're right.
Okay. Yeah, Akers and Dobbins. I wouldn't. Jets defense is formidable, and on Monday night they're going to be hyped up because they got A-Rod back on their offense. Come on now, Akers and Dobbins, Lindorphins.
All right, that's two of us.
Yeah, I'm good with that too. I think Houston made a lot of. I think the D'Amico Ryans and some of the moves they made up front is going to make Houston's Texans defense a little better this year, but they're not going to be like really good. So I think that's where you beat Houston is on the ground. Ask Derrick Henry; he literally loves Houston. I think Derrick Henry has like 3 homes in Houston because they just have to keep giving him housing because he just keeps dominating them. So there's all that. So I'm okay with these two, Dobbins and Akers as well. Lindorphins, by the way, dropping in the hammer with the punt, by the way. Sky living up to his name,
nice.
In an airport. So for the kids out there who don't understand the joke, Sky was in an airport and you fly an airplane in the sky and his name is Sky. All right, there you go. That's what we do. We break down your jokes here live on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel.
We may need a 20-second timeout.
Absolutely not. All right. Gerald Alvarado comes back with a Taysom Hill question because, it's week 1. Let's get weird. Talk about Taysom Hill for a little bit. Honestly, it's literally roulette. You're going to take that little ball and you're going to spin it. And sometimes there's a 1 in 36 chance you're going to hit that day. And then there's going to be another day. And most of the time you're not. So Taysom Hill to me is like the roller coaster I'm not willing to ride. But Gladys, what's your thoughts about Taysom Hill?
I think it depends. If you're talking about DFS, the weird thing is that if you look at our lad's depth chart, Taysom Hill's listed as a quarterback. He's listed as their 3rd quarterback. He's not listed as a tight end. So if I'm playing DFS and I'm putting in like 150 or whatever the crazy amount of DFS lineups, I would throw Taysom Hill in there. If you're talking season long, no. I'm just gonna go no. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. Don't do it, Gerald. Don't. GA, don't do it. But if you're talking DFS and you're putting in like a multiple lineups, sure, I would throw Taysom Hill because you can put him in as a tight end and he's listed as a quarterback, which means they might use him in a crazy, weird sort of way.
Matt?
No.
Yeah, I think it's more of I honestly don't know what to think of it because it's just not – there's nothing – about his usage that you can bank on every single week. The other aspect of this, I think, is that Kendra Miller is out along with Alvin Kamara being suspended. So there is a chance where he's like the RB2 essentially in this offense. And the way with Derek Carr is, and the other aspect of this was Taysom Hill over the last 2 years, the foundation is that they didn't have a really, really stable quarterback, right? Derek Carr brings more stability at the quarterback position. They weren't taking Drew Brees off a ton for Taysom Hill. It really came down to the last few years when they had Danny Dalton, Jameis Winston, even Taysom Hill became a starter. So I think his value's propped up a little bit by the quarterback uncertainty. I think Derek Carr changes that a little bit. He's still going to get red zone work, but at the same time, I think this week you're right. There's a weird tight end premium league or something, but to get tight end premium, you would have to catch passes, not run the ball. So I don't know. I honestly can I just stay away from this? I just want to stay away. Matt just said no. I feel like I should just be able to say no. But I want to bring up context that, yes, he could be like the theoretical RB2 behind Jamal Williams this week with those guys out. But I am not going to take that risk. But you can. Live dangerously. Go ahead, Matt.
You're right. Live dangerously. And this show is known to get a little freaky, right? Let's get weird. I'm not sure that week 1 – kind of the vibe we're going is we're playing catch up. We're a little bit tired, right? Some of us may or may not be hungover. Some of us may have had really early morning chores. Let's not get too weird too early.
Yeah, chores and being hungover, Matt. You realize that I am your boss technically, so I am very upset right now, and I'm gonna have to speak with HR about this later today. All right, let's get down to the next one. Darren Waller dealing with a little bit of hamstring tightness because you wouldn't be a New York Giants player without a little hamstring tightness, apparently. So we love that for you, buddy. And then you got Greg Dulcich today. The Denver Broncos situation is always interesting. Denver's got the Raiders this week. Let's go to Gladys first. What do you think about this one?
I love Darren Waller a lot. Like, I tried to get him in every league that I was in, and I got Skyped in half of them. However, for today, with the Sean Payton has said he's going to use Dulcich as the Joker in the Joker role. And today, without Jerry Jeudy, I think that means an uptake also in Dulcich. So just for this week, I would go Dulcich over Waller, but I love Waller. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 or 2 in that offense.
Matt?
Waller's officially questionable, right? Yeah, as of yesterday.
He'll be in.
Yeah, what's his 6 score?
He's going to play. It doesn't matter. Rub some dirt on it.
The puppy, let us know.
Yeah.
6
That was
score,
the
Bob.
What'd you say, Matt?
The 6 score for him.
For Darren Waller. Good question. Let's see what they got here. I'm just gonna go Waller. I honestly think there were some reports that there was some I just like the Adam Troutman stuff. Like, what do we even? I know the Joker role, like Jimmy Graham became like super great, and that was awesome with Sean Payton. But like, his 6 scores 81, so you get about.
Yeah.
And I want to. Yeah, I think I'm going Waller 2 here. I want to see what the Dulcich role is. Like, I week 1. I just want to make sure. And listen, Waller has a hamstring. He could get hurt. I'm not saying he can't. But going into the game, I know Waller is the guy. So if he plays, we're good. I don't even know if Dulcich how much playing time he's going to get. I kind of want to see what he does first beforehand. It was a little alarming that Adam freaking Troutman was getting more snaps with the first team. I know it's preseason, but come on. What are we doing here? All right. Let's get down to the next one. Patricio. What was it? Yeah, it's all right. Anyway, Patricio. There you go. I love it. Anyway, God, I think I'll get it at some point. It's whatever. Anyway, P. Ryan going up today against the Las Vegas Raiders, whatever the hell that Denver Broncos backfield's going to look like. I mean, if they talk up this McLaurin kid or whatever his last name is, again, I'm just, at this point, my head's spinning over there. We have Kenneth Walker, I believe, Cam Akers, Swift, and Ramondre. We have to choose 2 of that group, guys. So, Patricio, in the future, give us the format. We'd like to do that, but for no format, we're just going to assume half PPR. Matt, over to you. What do you think?
Walker for sure. And I think I prefer season-long Ramondre, but we're talking today with Javonte being a little less than, well, probably much less than 100. Let me get the known quantity in P. Ryan. So yeah, I for me, it's P. Ryan and Walker.
Isn't Walker coming in with like a groin injury or something?
He's fine.
Yeah, but he's been cleared. Let's see what his 6 score is. But go ahead.
No, I want to know what his 6 score is.
Yes, Gladys. We'll wait. We'll wait.
Good.
71. It's actually kind of low.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Akers and Ryan, because I think that even if Walker plays, I do think they're gonna put Charbonnet in there too to like see what they got. So I'm gonna go Walker. No, I'm gonna go Akers and I don't like Swift. I don't like the Philly committee thing going on there. I 2 things. Check on Javonte's status. Like, first, Peyton said he didn't know. Then he said he's going to play him as much as he can. Sean Payton lies a lot. I don't know. So Akers and Pirine for now. But check on Ramondre, too. Ramondre's like the 3rd. Your option 2A.
And I'm good. I'm going to change based on the 6 score. I'll probably go Akers and Pirine as well.
Yeah, it is a little concerning. That is a interesting number there. I'm actually going to go Swift and Akers. I had this like weird gut feeling all off season that like Swift I got a little freaked out when that first preseason game happened and Gainwell was like play. I just think that Nick Sirianni is one of those coaches where he's like, I'm going to put my best players out there and just go play. Because like Miles Sanders was dealing with Doug Peterson for the first few years, and they were kind of, then Jordan Howard was out there a bunch. And then when Nick Sirianni got there, he finally got that 250 carry season. I think that Swift will be their number one. I think he's going to get a bunch of work, and he's always been super good on a per touch basis. So I think I'm going to go with Swift there and Akers, because I do think that the Walker injury is interesting, but the Rams front is better than their secondary. So I think, I don't know. Let's just go with that. I don't know. It's like, these are all really close. Like I get the question. So when I think about it, I'm like, the Rams are, I think based on my adjusted line yards metric last year, they were pretty good, the Rams defense. So I know there was a lot of turnover there.
So what's your final answer?
Patricio's only going to know. He's only going to know that there's a wrong answer when he starts the wrong people. But I don't think there's a wrong twosome to start here. I think he's got great running backs. I would probably tell him to go with his gut, who he thinks are either the healthiest or the best matchups. And he's either going to be right or wrong, right? That's really deep analysis, but you don't know till the game's been played. I think he's got great options with all five.
Okay. Here's my final answer. I'm just going to talk through this. I have to. It is what it is. My final answer, P. Ryan, listen, we don't know what the rotation is going to be yet for the Broncos, right? So the Broncos, like Javonte is going to be out there, P. Ryan, then you also talk to this McLaughlin kid. So I would prefer to take a cautious approach to see what goes on there. Walker, yes, he's dealing with the groin. 71-6 score is kind of interesting. I think that I think he's still going to be great, but the Rams front is still solid to an extent. So I'm not overly excited for the matchup. Then it comes down to Akers, Swift, Ramadre. And when I look at those three guys, it's like, okay, I think the matchup's very close for each of those guys based on the metrics I see. You know what? My final answer, is Ramadre and Swift. I'm going Ramadre Stevenson in the same game. Eagles, Patriots. Let's have some fun. Let's get to the next question here. All right. Hope y'all have a good first NFL Sunday. It should be a good one. Matchup 6 for the lineups. Colton, you're welcome, sir. We appreciate you, man.
Colton, nice picture too.
Alex Smith, former quarterback of the Commanders, is on the show. Alex loves us. Honestly, if he says break a leg out there, I would have been like, whoa.
Wow.
Too soon. Or too late,
soon.
depending on the timing here. Anyway, PPR, J.K. Dobbins or Terry McLaurin. We talked a little bit about McLaurin earlier, about the 6 score, how he's coming off the injury. I lean J.K. Dobbins here. What do you say, Gladys?
J.K. Dobbins.
All right. The Don. Good stuff, everyone. Good luck this week. We appreciate you, man.
Good luck to you, Don.
Jumping on. Good luck to you as well.
James.
That the Dolphins is letting us know the names because they flip them, right? The Cook family decided to keep things simple. 2 names for 2 boys, flip them back. I like that as well. Shout out to the Cook family. Mama Cook doing good things over there. All right. 8-team standard league. So I'm assuming no PPR. We got Ridley, Smith, JSN, Gibbs, Walker, and Dulcich. Gibbs played already, so he needs a flex. So I guess the question is, would you take Walker, Dulcich, Smith, or Ridley in the flex? What do you got, Matt?
Plus, that could be Gibson, Antonio Gibson. Maybe he just typed too fast.
Yeah, it's probably Jamar Gibbs.
You think so? Okay. Well, I would have started Gibbs. So give me the win on that one. Need one flex only. Probably for me, it's Ridley slightly over Devonta Smith.
Well, I think when I was looking at this, I think Ridley for me is like the Colts secondary. They lost Gilmore, and they just seem the Colts are another team where I just don't know how spirited they're gonna have. The spirit with JT stuff going on. I'm not totally convinced that this team is like all in right now. So I think I actually want to play Ridley this week against that Colts secondary that did get a little bit of a shakeup. They got a new DC as well. So, oh no, I'm sorry, they still have Gus Bradley. But yeah, they have a new coaching staff, but Gus Bradley was retained. So touche Bob for correcting yourself. Anyway, we're moving on. I'm going Ridley. All right. 10-team half PPR. We have Dotson, Pickens, Sky, Sky Moore has already played. Thielen, Madison, McKinnon, and Kincaid, one for the flex. So we need a flex play. We got McKinnon already played. Let's say he's out. Sky Moore's out. So really it's Dotson, Pickens, Thielen, Madison, Kincaid. What do you got, Gladys?
Thielen's out too, right? Thielen's questionable for today.
He's in. He's going to play today.
6 score?
I feel like this is like a spelling bee where you're like, can I get the pronunciation?
Can I get the pronunciation, please?
Adam Thielen.
Country of origin.
Adam Thielen is an 84 today.
Ooh. Ooh.
Are you using the sentence?
I'm going to go half PPR. I'm going to stick with Pickens. I'm going to go with Pickens and half PPR. Otherwise, I would go with Dotson. It's Pickens and Dotson for me. Or Dotson, since you only need one.
Matt?
I'll say it early and I'll say it often. Adam Thielen's done. He's washed. It's over. So people that have him on the roster that keep touting him amongst players like Dotson and Pickens, just stop. Thielen's not the Thielen that he used to be. Stop living in the glory days of the Vikings when he was really good. He is no longer that guy. He won't be that guy. It's over. I think the sneaky start in here because a half point PPR is actually Madison. Season long, I take Pickens for sure. Probably Dotson right behind him. Well, not right behind him, but close to him. But today I go Madison against the Bucks.
Can I ask a question? Why would you take a running back in a PPR league over wide receivers?
It's half PPR.
Right. Okay.
I go volume. Running backs get volume before receivers do.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that I'm right. I probably am. But
does not.
And here's the deal, right?
If
Gladys, if you were at Vegas, right, we're having a couple drinks, and you put money on Pickens, I'd put money on Madison, and whoever won, we'd split drinks. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. I'm not sure if I put it on Pickens or Dotson. They're both the same. I mean, Dotson is going against Arizona again. I mean,
right, which means I don't think they're going to have to throw as much. I do like Howell, but I don't think they're going to have to throw 45
I think Eric
times.
Bieniemy is going to try to run up that score just to show how good he is to separate himself from Andy Reid, which means they're going to throw the ball a lot and show how smart he is. So
there's a bold take right there, right? I'm writing that one down. Let me find a pen.
I think that they're going to try to run up the score and then not try. I mean, is it going to be that hard, really?
No, but I had not considered that. I like that. That's a groovy. I dig that. I'm with that. But I'm still going
who this guy is. Okay,
that was a really far out answer, Gladys. I like that. So, I actually, me and Gladys talked about this previously on another show. I kind of just don't see Sam Howell being able to throw, 35 plus times every week. I think he's going to be mobile. I think they're going to be more conservative style. I think it's like an Alex Smith offense from the Chiefs days. That's how I view it. But I'm excited to see how that goes. I think that's going to be a fun week-to-week thing. The Tampa Bay run defense is legit. So Madison does seem like a volume play in half PPR, and I think Madison's probably going to be my pick. The matchup isn't great against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I think the Vikings offense are going to move the football. He's probably a good bet to score. So I think I'm going to go him here as well. I think that Arizona offense might be a dumpster fire. So this game could be like 13-7, and they would just don't even care. So I'm not overly excited to get many hands into that Washington game. I actually like the Commanders' defense probably the best. And Brian Robinson. Give me some Brian Robinson action as well. But overall, I'm going to lean Madison here. All right, 14-team half PPR again from itty-bitty South City 650. I like it. I nailed that one. All right, DJ Moore, Dotson, Elijah Moore, Renfro, Breece Hall, Patterson, Ferguson, Dulcich, Schultz. So we have one tight end and a flex. Gladys, what do you got for this one?
Tight end, I would go Dulcich and flex. It'd be between. Oh man, I think flex 14 PPR. I'm gonna go Elijah Moore. I think, I'm gonna go Elijah Moore and Dulcich.
I don't need to think about it. DJ Moore and Ferguson. Too easy.
Agreed. I actually like DJ Moore a lot this year. I'm all in.
Who's his quarterback, Bob?
I don't know. I haven't done the research, so I wouldn't be able to tell you who DJ Moore's quarterback is. But I think it's
you just want me to say it, don't you?
No, if you could just let me know.
It's Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. God, okay, that's what it was. That's what it was. I didn't know, so I'm glad you helped me there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, J-Mom, coming in hot. Excited the show is back. Appreciate it, J-Mom. That's very nice to let people know. $9.99. I think she says our show is worth $9.99. We appreciate that, J-Mom. Everybody follow her lead. She wants to tell people to donate. We love you for that. Anyway, Lindorfin's giving us some weather updates from the East Coast, telling us there a thunderstorm. Now, the Giants don't play till tonight. There are weather updates that we'll have later in the show that could impact fantasy. The good news is, based on the early reports that Tom Paracelo brought up, those don't look like they're going to be impactful. A lot of low winds, no high wind games. Doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of rain overall. But I think that the Giants game playing tonight, there might be some scattered thunderstorms during the day. But I think in the evening, by the time the game's being played, we'll have clear skies, and you can pick up the kicker for the Dallas Cowboys, Aubrey, and win your fantasy week that week. All right, but that way the questions are done. We're going to jump over to our – I'm going to give Gladys, Matt, take a breather. Going to do a quick injury rundown, and we're going to talk through some of the ins and outs that you need to know for week one. All right, so first off, Jimmy Ward, the new safety for the Houston Texans who came over with D'Amico Ryans, is out today. That's going to be impactful for the middle of the field, especially he's probably was going to be the leader of that secondary with D'Amico Ryans. So that is notable. The Ravens, with Odell's injury and Bateman still kind of getting back to speed, maybe Zay Flowers is a decent wide receiver 3 flex this week. Marlon Humphrey, cornerback, is out for the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be impactful for the Houston Texans. I think that Nico Collins is someone that you could spot start this week with the Marlon Humphrey injury. I think that the Ravens are going to do their thing today, put up their points. I think that the CJ Stroud is going to throw a decent amount, and I think that Nico Collins is on the wide receiver 3 map. Kelvin Beachum, offensive tackle, right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals, is out. The Cardinals needed all hands on deck, and they do not have all hands on deck. So I think the Washington Commanders defense, if they are out on waivers for whatever reason, are my number one streamer defense of the week and or start based on outside of the studs. Jumping down to DJ Chark, out today. Obviously, we talked a little bit earlier about Adam Thielen being in. I think that is notable. Jonathan Mingo is a nice, interesting, deep name if you want to play him in DFS. Don't think I'll probably play him in season long. But with Jeff Okudah, the outside cornerback, out for the Falcons, that does boost Mingo's matchup. So maybe a DFS start throw this week. Devin Achane out today, along with Jeff Wilson now on IR. That means that the running back position is basically you're looking at Ramondre Stevenson. You're looking at the Raheem Mostert show. Mostert has a solid matchup against the Chargers. I think Mostert is a great RB2 this week if you need a spot start at the running back position. Teron Armstead, the left tackle for the Miami Dolphins, is out today. He's been kind of in and out of the lineup anyway over the last few years. Miami last year missed a handful of games, so it is concerning, especially with Tua's concussion injuries. You want all hands on deck for them, but that's out and notable. Maybe a slight downtick for the Miami Dolphins offense. Christian Watson out today. Romeo Doubs is playing, but he will be on a snap count. What does that mean against the Bears? The Bears DST might be an underrated name, but I do think you got to look at the running backs. I think the Packers will lean on the run game. You got Reed, the slot corner, the rookie. You also have Luke Musgrave as well. Luke Musgrave might be able to replicate kind of the Sam Laporta type game, 5 for 39, 5 for 40. If you're looking for a deep tight end throw, maybe Luke Musgrave this week against the Bears. But I think the Bears defense, by the way, who added a decent amount of offseason weapons, is actually a solid option this week too. If you're looking for kind of a DFS contrarian play, maybe the Chicago Bears this week against those Packers. All right, let's jump down to the next one, which is Brandon Freisine. He's now on IR. He was a cornerback for the Raiders. So Nate Hobbs, who is one of the best cornerbacks in football 2 years ago, is moving back to the slot for the Raiders. They now have Marcus Peters and a 4th-round rookie starting on the outside. With Judy's injury, I do think you're probably going to have Cortland Sutton as a solid wide receiver 3 this week. He had very productive games last year against the Raiders. Let's jump down to Chandler Jones, defensive end for the Raiders. Obviously, that's a slight bump for a player like Russell Wilson when they don't have their top, one of their other edge rushers. Of course, they still have their other defensive end who's a stud as well. Name slipping my mind. All right, Chandler Jones. Devontae Parker, the Patriots wide receiver, is out today. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is an underrated wide receiver 3 if you need a spot start. If you're a team that was hit by Cooper Kupp injury, Jerry Jeudy, and you have a wide receiver 5 in Juju Smith-Schuster, I think Devontae Parker being out today means Juju will get a couple more targets. Don't sleep on Kendrick Bourne as a deep name. If I know Philadelphia has very good outside corners, and you probably want to go after them in the middle of the field, but Bourne is a deeper name, but I would lean Juju as maybe a DFS dart throw this week. Jamal Adams out today for the Seattle Seahawks. That's a slight bump for Tyler Higbee as well because he's one of the safeties there. So I think Higbee with the Cooper Kupp injury is a solid tight end 1 this week. The Dallas Cowboys offensive line is dealing with some injuries. Tyler Smith is out today. They also have Tyron Smith dealing with some injuries and nicks and bruises, but that's notable for the Cowboys offense going up against the Giants on Sunday Night Football, but I don't think I'm fading anybody because of the injury. Wan'Dale Robinson, we're not really banking on him this year. Is more of a dynasty guy right now at this point, but the Giants' Wan'Dale Robinson is out today. Does bring some clarity to the Giants receiving corps. It looks like Paris Campbell will man the slot for the foreseeable future. Cooper Kupp's officially on IR if you missed the news. Van Jefferson looks to be number 1. We talked a lot about Puka Nacua. Tutu Atwell as well will be the 3 receivers, but we lean Tyler Higbee if you're looking for a spot start from the Rams. Jerry Jeudy out today. We brought up a little bit earlier. I like Cortland Sutton. Marvin Mims is an interesting dart throw, but I think I lean Cortland Sutton if you're going to start anybody as a wide receiver 3. Already talked about Parker. Mark Andrews is out today. Looks like most likely. So it looks like it's going to be likely. Likely has a solid matchup against Houston. Now, there's 2 things to think about with likely. 1, it's a new offense, by the way. So I think when you're looking at historical stats, you have to remember that the Todd Monken offense isn't necessarily the Greg Roman offense. Plus, they do have more receiving weapons. However, with Mark Andrews out, Odell Beckham looking to be out as well. Limited Rashad Bateman coming off injury. I think Isaiah likely has to be in your lineups. I think he's one of the top 10 tight ends this week. Kendra Miller is out along with Alvin Kamara being suspended. You're going to get a heavy workload for Jamal Williams in a very tough matchup against the Titans. But I think Jamal Williams is probably a good bet to score this week. But just temper expectations a little bit. The Titans' run defense is one of the best in football. So don't go crazy. Put him in your DFS lineups this week. Darren Waller in. Romeo Dobbs in on a snap count. George Kittle in. Ramondre Stevenson in. Marquise Brown in. Zach Ertz in. Breece Hall in on a snap count. Breece Hall injury is simple. They basically said that they're going to probably ease him in. And Dalvin Cook will be the number 1 this week. So I think if you're probably deciding between the 2, you lean Cook. And if you have Cook if you draft him a little bit earlier in the process, if you have him as your RB3-4, he's probably a solid flex option today. Let's jump over and get Mac back into the stream. All right, Matt, what's going on, man? How you doing? How was your break? Did you have a nice time?
Yeah, the wife's a little under the weather, so I went and checked on her.
Very nice. Very nice, man. So listen, I'm glad that you took the time, checked on the wife, make sure she's good. So basically, Matt, have you heard anything kind of new with the weather stuff or anything like that? I know this morning we kind of got a little bit of the update. We have the injuries impacted here. Any other thoughts right now?
General thoughts, right? This is a weird week 1. Normally, we don't get weather this early in the year. Usually, we don't see this many soft tissue injuries to start the year. I think that we just have to play who we know is going to play at this point, plus Darren Waller. We know he's going to play. It's scary to kind of add in guys that you know are a little bit dinged or a lot of it dinged to the roster. But no, I don't have anything to add to what you went through. Good analysis. The scary part is how many of these injuries are going to be exacerbated after week 1, or how many new injuries are we going to see? Leagues with short benches are going to probably see a whole bunch of people moving in and out on the waiver wire. And I was looking at scrolling through my roster real quick, a couple of them, right? Like right now, I want to start Stevenson, but his 6 score and the fact that he's going against Philly scare me. So I'm actually leaning Treylon Burks over him in the flex, but then I don't love Treylon Burks against the Saints secondary, even though I think Lattimore will probably follow Nuke Hopkins. But yeah, some weird stuff going on and way too many cues on my roster. It's not great.
So one of the resources we do recommend you go check over is sixscore.com. So when we talk Sports Injury Central, they give you basically a health score. And that's basically what you can apply to a projection. So for example, like if Ramondre Stevenson averages 17 points a game and his SIC score is 75. Now I do want to say this is very important. There's no such thing as 100 for a SIC score. No one's 100. Like the highest rated players are 95. So take it, it's not exactly apples to apples. So a 75 SIC score is probably close to 80%, if that makes sense, because the best SIC scores are 95, not low 90s when you have a really healthy player. But guys, for example, like Jackson Smith-Njigba, if you're in a deeper format, if you're looking for a wide receiver 3 or a deeper wide flex play, JSN's only a 63, right? So you're expecting 63% of a rookie, by the way, who's playing behind Tyler Lockett and the DK Metcalf against the Rams. So I do think that JSN is a fade this week because of that. And I do think Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are starts because of an injury like that, for example. You also have Joe Burrow, who's ticking up. When they talk about Joe Burrow, his SIC score is 87. Now, Joe Burrow is a pocket quarterback, so it's not like he's going to be affected too much from a mobility standpoint, but it's pocket movement, right? Being able to navigate in the pocket, you want to be able to move around a decent amount. So that calf injury could be a problem. But his SIC score, because of the timing of the injury, is closer to almost 90%. So I think he could hit the ground running against Cleveland in week 1. You got Terry McLaurin at 64. And so that's why we kind of in an Arizona matchup, who, by the way, is dealing with a brand new defensive coordinator in James Gannon. They also have they lost Byron Murphy this year to the Minnesota Vikings. So there's been shakeup in the secondary. And so if Gladys is correct, especially, and they start leaning more toward the pass, a 64 SIC score for Terry McLaurin means Jahan Dotson is probably the guy you're going to want to get in your lineups this week because of that. He might be someone that isn't owned a lot in DFS either. So I think you could probably get Jahan Dotson in your lineups. Here's a really good nugget. Jerry Jeudy is supposed to be in. His SIC score is 48. That's under 50%. So if Jeudy is expected to get 15 points a week, you're looking at probably 7.5, maybe like 7 points. So Judy's a fade, but that does open up opportunities for guys like Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims. Eileen Sutton performed very well last year against the Raiders, so his SIC score is not overly alarming. But that's basically what we do. So you go check out sixscore.com. There is all these numbers out there. They also have a very affordable premium subscription, which is like $2.99, which is like a slam dunk. And then you get field views, and you can actually see the team. So they'll do like a rush rank for offense and rush rank for defense. So it's pretty good. It's a great resource to have, especially for betting, player props, all that stuff. Like to give you an example of like a really interesting nugget that I pulled from the analysis is that, let me just pull it up real quick. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so that's not what I wanted. Sorry. There we go. Jesus. All right. So what they do is in their field views, they give you a SIC score for the pass defense and the run defense. So for example, today, the defense for the Ravens pass secondary is a 68 as a whole. That is absurd. They have the injuries they have listed. Rock Ya-Sin, left cornerback, is an 81 SIC score, slightly limited. Their slot corner out today. They also are going to be without Marlon Humphrey today. He's out. They also have a linebacker out today that is out. So like that 68 SIC score is underrated. Like if you're looking at that, you're like, maybe Nico Collins is a DFS start throw this week. Maybe he's a wide receiver 3 in a deeper format. So it's just a really good resource. Matt, like how much do you think injuries impact your decisions every day for starting your lineups?
I think over time you see that there are some players that will be on the report every week, right? Belichick's a guy that comically would have people on there. He put his kicker on there every week. I don't understand why he does it, but maybe it's a head game. It factors in for me significantly leading up to both waivers and to the start sit. Like I said, I'm Derek and I split a team. He's flying right now, so I have the decision to make about Ramondre Stevenson. Is the illness really that bad? Probably not. It was a stomach bug, from what I can tell. But then I'm fearful. What happens? Does he go through an IV for breakfast? Does he go through eggs, and the eggs make the stomach issue even worse? Who knows? But yeah, I pay particular attention to injuries and matchups before I go into setting my lineup. And then again, I can flip flop. I don't like to, so I try to stay away from that as much as possible. But would you start a healthy Treylon Burks at New Orleans in week 1? Or would you start Ramondre knowing that he's had this little bug in your flex?
Stevenson.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm leaning at this point. Again, Derek's flying, so I've got to make the call on my own. But yeah, this is a tough call.
So the good thing is, like, when you guys, by the way, if you're watching this stream, go check out our tools and resources at razzball.com. We have created a slot first wide points per game allowed analysis where you can actually see where a team allows their fantasy points. So a defense, let's say New Orleans, we're talking about Treylon Burks. We have a tool on our site that actually shows you where the New Orleans Saints defense allows their fantasy points. So Treylon Burks is probably going to be primarily outside receiver. So you can actually see, is New Orleans actually a good matchup for outside receivers? And, you know, we also include league average, but last season they're slightly below 19.9 PPR points per game out wide last year versus only 10.1 in the slot. The Saints defense as a whole is solid. And that was with Marshawn Lattimore being out most of the year. So I kind of want to take a wait and see approach when I can on certain situations. So I'm going to take the guaranteed touches from Stevenson. And listen, I know the Eagles are a very formidable defense, but way you beat the Eagles is on the ground. They have a very good secondary. So their front is very good, but they're very good at rushing the passer. So they got beat last year sometimes on the ground. So from a DVOA standpoint, which is basically defense adjusted, I actually created a metric where you could actually tell what defenses are slot funnel versus run funnel. So using Football Outsiders, which is now FTN, by the way. And by the way, we just subscribed to it. It's awesome resources. If you're looking for success rate modeling, you want to know how good a defense is on a success rate basis. Green Bay was number 1 last year in run funnel. So they were the most run funnel defense in football based on my metric. Number 2, the Eagles. So the Eagles were number 1 in DVOA rank last year for passing, but they were 21st in DVOA against the run. So I think Stevenson's going to have a big day. There's certain guys where you're just like, you were in. Like, I was in on Stevenson early. I had him as a first round pick, and then I had to pull back a little. I was like, all right, you're being a little crazy. But I finished like him in as like inside the top 22-ish range. So I think he's a no-brainer. I think you have to justify the matchup, an injury, and or weather has to all be factored in order for me to sit a guy who I drafted rounds 1 through 4 or 5. It's got to be an insane situation. It's got to be like the injury. He's only 64% today, or, you know, he's got a really, you know, the matchup is the worst matchup in the league and he has the injury. I don't think on the matchup alone, I'm going to sit my studs. So that's why I would stick with Stevenson personally.
So I made that change. Now I've got another question for you after we get to Mike F, who popped in with one at the bottom.
All right, Mike, welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you being on, man. We're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff all day long. We've been talking a little bit about start sits. We've also been doing weather updates, injury updates as well. And by the way, folks, as a reminder, we are partnering with Good Sports this year. Good Sports is a charity organization that allows us to that donates sporting equipment to underprivileged communities. So become a super chatter, donate to the show. We appreciate it. We put a lot of work into our show, but at the same time, we also want to give back to the community, the sporting community. So if you guys donate to us, we donate 10% of whatever you donate to the show to Good Sports. Our goal, I want to have a lofty goal this year. I think $100 minimum would be a very reasonable goal to have. So please become a super chatter, donate to the show, and let us kind of contribute to the community as well. All right, Mike F, Need a Flex, PPR, Swift, Connor, Akers, Hollywood Brown, Pickens, and Quentin Johnson. We've got a lot of, I feel like Akers and Pickens have been involved in a lot of questions today. What's your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, you know, so who did you see? You said Quentin's been in there, Pickens been in there, Akers. We've had a ton of Akers comments. Connor we had some of those at the beginning. So Mike F, by the way, I'm going to go out on a limb here. You ready? My first big limb of the year. When you're done with your water, 3, 2, 1. I think F stands for football. Mike, football.
Well, it better not be a curse word, Mike, because that's a no-no.
Oh, that's
right
not
here.
what we do. Not on Sunday,
Not-
buddy. That's
not
not
so-
what we do
well,
here.
It's God,
his-
football, and the Sunday Live Start Sit show. That's what it's all
Right.
about.
It's a marriage made in heaven. Need a flex. You're leaning a little bit earlier. You leaned to Swift, but I don't think based on the other names that are here that you're going to lean towards Swift here, nor am I. I think the best player on this list is Pickens. You would probably say Connor. Today, I think I'm leaning towards Akers.
I'm off the Cardinals this week against Washington. I don't want the Connor situation. The Washington Commanders front, even without Chase Young, who's out today, is insane. Like they have an insane run defense. And Connor is good. Connor is great. If you need a flex, Connor's probably going to get you 11 points today because he's just involved. He's on the field constantly. But the Josh Dobbs situation, you have so many good names here. Connor's like a safer high floor guy, but he doesn't have much ceiling this week, right? So I when I look at the matchups, Swift, I lean Swift. I don't buy the all of a sudden that Jalen Hurts is going to become a check down quarterback. So I think that Swift is the most likely to get you like maybe 15 touches with this Eagles offense. Now I know Rashad Penny will probably get goal line work, but I think Swift is going to be he's going to get the Miles Sanders role. I think he's going to get a lot of work today. And the same thing for the Patriots. They're not a great run defense either. They haven't been historically over the last few years. So I think the Pickens is playing San Francisco. If Charvarius Ward is out, I am going to go with Pickens. If Charvarius Ward is in, I am going to go with Swift here. I think that would be my bet. I'm going to go Swift as my number one option here. All right, let's jump down to AJ's question here. He's struggling. That's why you come to us. We're here to help you out. Talk through it, buddy. We got a wide receiver decision. Mike Evans or DeAndre Hopkins. So we have Mike Evans today going up against the Minnesota Vikings, and we also have DeAndre Hopkins going up against New Orleans. You did bring up a little bit earlier that Hopkins will probably see some Lattimore today. I'm not sure how much shadowing Lattimore will do this week, but you're probably right. Mike Evans gets a Minnesota team, who, by the way, has a new defensive coordinator in Brian Flores, and they have 3 new cornerbacks. And so one of the things that I've kind of learned over the years is there's 2 position groups that need continuity the most. It's offensive line and secondary, because there's a lot of communication that goes to success of those units. I think that Mike Evans is going to have a nice day. I'm going to lean Mike Evans here. I think he's got the two very young cornerbacks on the outside. So I think I'm going to go Mike Evans. What do you think, Matt?
I'm with you there. In fact, I think even we talked about Kenneth Walker's 6 score a little bit earlier. I think you could probably plug sick again when we're done with this answer, because I didn't know what sick was till a couple of weeks ago. It's a great tool. I think that the more we can get our listeners to dig into that, it's going to help them help themselves at times. I go with Evans here, and my decision is actually very similar. I'm sitting DeAndre Hopkins versus the Saints or at New Orleans for Kenneth Walker. I don't love it. And even though Walker's 6 score is a little bit low, I still think he's the clear number 1, even with Charbonnet there and a little bit healthier. So I go with Evans for AJ's question, and to let him know that or him or her, I don't know, right? I think that I am kind of out on Hopkins and possibly Burks this week because of the defensive matchup, and I'm even going KW the third over DeAndre. So give me Evans for the question.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting some things rolling in today. The injuries are finally piling in for week 1. So it's 8:30. We're getting some of the official 1 p.m. Eastern time game injury updates couple notable ones that I thought were interesting. Chase Brown, rookie running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, is out today. I know this has been a guy that people are really worried about for Joe Mixon and stuff. I think Mixon's rushing prop today is my lock of the day. His rushing prop is like 55 yards or something like that against the Browns. I'm taking the over. Taking the over on Mixon. Travion Williams, by the way, it is probably your backup. So the fact that Chase Brown is inactive today is interesting. So I think Travion Williams, if you're looking for a deeper name, is probably the backup guy. He's most likely to fill that Samaje Perine role. So I thought that was notable. The guard, Jackson Carman, is officially out today. It's a slight ding to Mixon, but I think the unit as a whole is much improved this year. Zach Moss officially inactive today. So that means Deion Jackson with Jonathan Taylor suspended, or not suspended, but starting the year on PUP for whatever reason, is going to be the workhorse guy. So I think I'm not running out to start Deion Jackson today, but I think he's going to get enough touches to justify like a flex play if you need it. So Zach Moss, if you have him right now, put him in your IR spot. He is out today. That's all the really updates we have to this moment, but I'll keep refreshing to see what else we got. I guess, Matt, let's talk streamers here. Oh, here we go. Matt, read off the question. Let me know your thoughts here.
All right, so Mike Football needs a tight end. Kelsey, obviously out. He was on Thursday. He's looking at Ferguson for the Cowboys, Everett for the Chargers, Musgrave for my Green Bay Packers. Do we think that's Irv Smith with the Bengals?
Yes.
Yep, and so I'm going to ignore the bottom three. I'm not a fan of Fant. We talked about him earlier this morning when we were still rubbing our eyes and trying to be part of the active world. Conklin for the Jets, I'm not really sold on him. Henry, we can pass on. So really, this comes down to Ferguson, Everett, or Musgrave. Yep, so Mike confirms that it is Irv Smith. So Ferguson, Everett, Musgrave, Smith, you actually leaned or made a comment about Musgrave a little bit earlier. You want to start with him or just give us your pick outright for to help Mike Football out?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. So Ferguson against the Giants is actually not a bad dart throw if you needed it late. But let me just pull up my matchup metrics. Sorry.
So I think earlier we leaned Everett in the matchup. Basically, the Kellen Moore offensive scheme, as it did for Dalton Schultz, may do for Gerald Everett for the Chargers. So we've already picked him at least once, Ferguson at least once.
Yeah. I'm just kind of looking through. Miami was a very good matchup last year, but it's Vic Fangio's defense now, so I'm not 100%, and it's a lot of mouths to feed there for the Chargers. I think Gerald Everett to me is like, if I needed a streamer dart throw guy, I would be okay with Gerald Everett, but I don't really trust him. They're loaded now. You got Keenan Allen back last year. Allen missed a lot of games. Mike Williams missed a handful of games. Now they have Quentin Johnston. You still have Eckler. Still have Josh Palmer as a wide receiver 3. I don't think I want to go in on Everett if I don't have to. Ferguson's a nice play. I think Dak has always targeted his tight ends. Always. Even last season when Dalton Schultz was out for those 2 games, Ferguson and Hendershot had a bunch of targets in those 2 games. So I don't hate the matchup. Irv Smith is probably my favorite amongst this group for the season. Hayden Hurst had a very underrated role. Joe Burrow is he's the guy. I think Joe Burrow this season could just be, I think he finally can get up to that Patrick Mahomes echelon of quarterback. I think he's going to be insanely elite, and I think he's going to bring everybody with him. He's going to bring, Higgins, Boyd, all those guys. I think Irv Smith is going to be rock solid, but the Cleveland Browns are actually very good against tight ends. So, what's up?
Did you just say Tyler Boyd?
I did.
Didn't you and Sky have an agreement that Tyler Boyd was persona non grata?
I got burnt by Boyd a few years. In Chase's rookie season, I was very hot on Boyd, and he burnt me to a crisp. So I acknowledge when I'm wrong. I was dead wrong about Boyd that year. I thought he was going to be a solid wide receiver too, in fantasy, and I was drafting him in like the 6th, 7th round, and he was awful. So that was like one of those where I just underestimated how good Jamar Chase was. That's on me. I have to wear that. That's part of the process. So Luke Musgrave, I think, is interesting. Due to the injuries for the Packers secondary, but the other thing is Chicago last year was the 3rd toughest matchup against tight ends. They were very good. The Bears had a lot of money this offseason, and they went out and paid a lot of players on defense. They are going to be a very underrated unit. I think they're going to be much improved this season. And they were already good against tight ends. I think Luke Musgrave is probably going to give you the Sam Laporta line. He might have 4 or 5 catches for like 40 yards, which is fine for a tight end. Hunter Henry, Tyler Conklin, Noah Fant, I'm not interested in. Tyler Conklin, I think, is interesting because Aaron Rodgers, but he's got Buffalo, so I'm not interested in that. And then Hunter Henry is another one. New England. Let's see. We got Philly. It's another tough matchup. So I think based on the matchups, based on everything I'm thinking, I actually think I might go Ferguson here. I might just do it. Why not? Have a little fun. Live a little. I'm going to go Jake Ferguson.
Yeah. I'm right, a Packers fan. I want to wait and see on Musgrave and Love, see how they mesh, how the offense looks as far as getting the ball to the tight end, right? There is no more Robert Tonyan, and they've moved Josiah DeGuara to like a hybrid fullback position, whether you knew that or not. That's super deep analysis for you. I think I prefer Ferguson with Irv Smith slightly behind him, and then Everett third, based on the things that you said, right? The Chargers are just loaded. So, yeah, today, give me Ferguson.
Love it. All right, Scott Eminger. Shout out, buddy. Appreciate you as always, man. Honestly, it's fantastic to have you back around. Love it. Tight end question here. PPR league. We have Firemuth or Irv Smith. So Firemuth today has got those San Francisco 49ers. Very tough matchup. Irv Smith has Cleveland, which is also a very tough matchup. So what's your thoughts here, Matt?
Only because I just, play your studs is not something that we swear by when it's week 8, 9, 10, 11, when you're trying to solidify. What can you solidify? I don't know if you can. I said it. I don't know that you can. Week 1, if they're healthy, you take the guys that you drafted that should be playing. So for me, it's Freiermuth. Most likely, Scott did not draft Irv Smith unless it's a really deep league. So I would go Freiermuth, and let's see if Kenny Pickett can carry the load with the 2 receivers and Freiermuth. And then, when we talk about this a little bit later, let's come back to the Steelers when we have a little bit of a lull. I know we're busy so far, but I've got some interesting thoughts for you on the Steelers as we move forward. But yeah, for right now, give me Pat Freiermuth today.
So Cleveland's like, it's just always weird. Like, it's hard to understand why certain defenses are just like locking up tight ends and then they're not good in other aspects of their secondary. Cleveland Browns are one of those teams that you don't think of as like a dominant defense in any facet, but like they were dominant against tight ends last year. But Hayden Hurst, one game, he faced 4 for 42 last year. So average. I'm big on Irv, but I think I'm going to take Freiermuth here. I know the 49ers are, and honestly, if you go, the tough part about the tight end points allowed is there's only a certain amount of teams that have good tight ends. So you can look really good against tight ends, but it's really about expectation. It's like, how good are you when you face the good tight ends? If you face Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and let's say Darren Waller weeks 1 through 3, you're going to probably be the worst defense against tight ends when you look at fantasy points. But in reality, it's like, well, you face these really tough tight ends. So the 49ers last year, let's just do a quick rundown. I think this is important to kind of like put context around like the 2022. Touche. All right. So the 49ers last year were bottom 5. Like, they were very good against tight ends, but they faced Cole Kmet week 1, which was that rain game. Then they faced Noah Fant, Denver. Tyler Higbee went 10 for 73. Okay. That's the first tight end they faced that's notable. Tyler Higbee, 17 fantasy points. Then they have Carolina. Carolina, who's their tight end? Exactly. Now it's Hayden Hurst, but last year Nobody. Kyle Pitts, 3 for 19 and 1. Travis Kelce, 6 for 98. Then they went down to the Rams again, played Tyler Higbee again, 2 for 15. They shut him down. Gerald Everett, 2 for 23. Trey McBride, which was, Trey McBride was even good last year, 4 for 14. Then they faced New Orleans with Juwan Johnson. They blanketed him. Then Mike Gesicki, he got 0, which is decent. Cade Otton, 4 for 28. Seattle, 5 for 32 for 1 for Noah Fant. Logan Thomas, 6 for 35. Darren Waller, 3 for 72 and 1. And Morneau also had 3 for 55 in that game. Traven Bach, 3 for 41. So when you start looking at like the defense as a whole and who they face, you're like, you know what? Maybe I'm okay with it. I think I will start Pat Freiermuth. I would have to be blown away by the streamer option. Like a good example of that is like maybe Logan Thomas.
Isaiah Likely.
Great one. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for being smart. Juwan Johnson against Tennessee, I would play over Freiermuth. Isaiah Likely over Houston, I would play over him. Ferguson, maybe. I would still lean Freiermuth. Logan Thomas is a push for me. I'd probably still lean Freiermuth there too. Yeah, I think that's really it for notable streamers. Hope that was helpful. Honestly, I wanted to think through because like the tight end position is not as simple as running backs and wide receivers because like not every team has a tight end. So it's like you can't look at tight end fantasy points allowed and apply that because it's not apples to apples. Clearly losing my voice already. Week 1, I'm not ready. But my point is like, so that's why I created the versus expectation model that I created last year. But even versus expectation is tough because, but anyway, just to give you an example of the expectation model put together. Arizona, Miami, Detroit, Tennessee, Seattle. Those are your Elite 5 matchups last year. Those are the teams that allowed more fantasy points than expected by over 20%. Then it's Atlanta, the Giants, Denver, New England, Jacksonville. So, like, that's why I kind of was looking at Logan Thomas. You also have Gerald Everett in that group. Noah Gray would have been in that group. Juwan Johnson, and then Tyler Higbee. So Higbee, Juwan Johnson, and Logan Thomas is your deep name, I think. What's your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned right New England. What were they 8th or 9th on that list? They were the number 1 fantasy defense last season and went undrafted. So even when you try to talk apples to apples, it doesn't work with tight ends. And then 2, apples to apples with fantasy doesn't work. Right? New England was fantastic for fantasy. They weren't necessarily great for NFL. But yeah, the tight end, I would say you go with the guy that is the better football player and take your chances. Now, if you have Freiermuth and Waller, right, you go with Waller. Now, maybe Freiermuth goes in at your flex, but we have a guy in our home league that has Waller and Hawkinson. Right? He's going to start those 2 guys every single week in his flex. But I can tell you this, if he loses a running back, he's probably done because he went super tight end heavy in his league. I say for running backs and receivers, look at the defense, pay attention. That should factor into your decision. But I'm with you that it does not, unless it has to, factor in for my tight end. Go with the guy that is the better football player and hope for the best.
Matchups do matter. I do think that's key. And honestly, I wasn't a big Freiermuth guy. So week 1, you're going to have a lot of bias. Like you're going to be more willing to start a guy you're high on.
Yep.
In a tough matchup versus a guy you're not. So like I wasn't a big Freiermuth guy, but I have to be rational about it. Like he's going to be on the field. The Wayne Washington thing, the backup tight end, got a bunch of work with the first team. Darnell Washington, whoever the tight end is. But they also have Allen Robinson down there, who's a wide receiver 3. Like, if you just look at the games last year after they let go of Chase Claypool, when you look at the games after that, their wide receiver 3 was Steven Sims, and he was getting like a target and a half a game. Allen Robinson, I'm not saying is going to be good. I'm not saying he's going to be great, but I could guarantee you he's going to average between 4 and 5 targets a game. That's probably realistic. So those targets are going to have to come from somewhere because
Claypool should have, but he complained his way out of a role.
So I just think that I'm big on Pickens because he did it last year on only 5.5 targets, and he was good with Kenny Pickett. Now you want to talk Steelers D, right? A little bit Steelers stuff. Before we do, let's get into Nathan's question. Before we have, we have 2 more questions, Matt, and then you could get. I want you to kind of go into that rant you had played because I need to get some water.
Yep. All right, so we're moving.
So let's move on to him right here. Mike F. Another flex spot. Dotson, Pittman, Herbert, Bigsby, and Charbonnet. What do you got, Matt? Now, Mike, as a reminder, give us the format always.
Yeah, I think did he do that above? No, I thought he did, but he didn't. We're always assume half point PPR, or do we always assume full?
If we don't have a format, assume half.
Assume half. Okay. When Gladys was on, we had a couple of questions where Dotson seemed to be at the top of the PPR. Okay. Then for me, I go Dotson, and I'm good. They're gonna blow out the Cardinals. And Gladys had a really interesting point. I don't know that you had this going in. I certainly did not. That she thinks that Eric Bieniemy wants to be fully out of the shadow of Andy Reid and prove that he was the mastermind behind all of this, which means they're going to absolutely go after the Cardinals today. So we've already talked about the Commanders' defense being a wonderful play, if probably the best streaming defense play for week 1. And I like Dotson, especially with McLaurin being dinged. And another shout out to Sick. You looked at McLaurin's 6 score earlier, and I think that it was below 60, like around 57 or 52, which leads me to, with confidence, take Dotson in this matchup.
McLaurin is definitely a sit this week. I'm not. Yep. I know, and I'm okay with being wrong because when you're dealing with an injury, I disagree with Gladys. I understand her thought process about it. Like, I understand that she thinks. I just don't think Sam Howell is going to be able to be a volume passer for this offense. I just think that Sam Howell is also mobile. Last year, he threw 19 attempts in his lone start. The one thing you cannot say about Scott Turner, who was the OC for the Commanders last year, Scott Turner threw the ball. Norv Turner and Scott Turner are not conservative play callers. They threw a ball a lot with Taylor Heineke. They were dealing with all this hodgepodge at quarterback, but then when Sam Howell comes in, he threw the ball 19 times. That's the baseline. Even if we think he's going to throw more, but like 10 times more is still under 30 attempts a game. Then you factor in it's McLaurin once he's healthy, Dotson. Curtis Samuel last year had 130 touches. Like, that's a lot of touches for a third receiver. Logan Thomas wasn't even playing a lot last year. I know a lot of people are off. This is like one of those things where I'm buying Logan Thomas. The Eric Bieniemy offense, the one thing they always use, they use the tight end. I like Logan Thomas. I think he's going to demand targets. He was coming off a serious injury last year. Then you throw in Antonio Gibson, who's a pass catching back. You also have that. And then you also have a good runner in Brian Robinson. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed. I think McLaurin being hurt allows Dotson to emerge this week specifically, but I am taking Khalil Herbert against your Packers. Your Packers' run defense is kind of meh. You also have some shakeup on your defensive line. 2 of the guys that were prominent last year are gone. You do have some young talent there, but I think you beat the Packers on the ground. I think Herbert, Justin Fields running the football. I'm going to go Khalil Herbert in this matchup, even in PPR, which I probably should go Dotson, but I'm going to go for it. Any thoughts about Pittman week 1 for the Colts against the Jags?
What did you say, that the Colts are maybe they don't have their heart in it?
Right? Yeah, I don't know, man. That's going to be tough.
And if you rostered Pittman last year, you don't want to roster him this year. I think he's a fine talent, but I'm staying away from that offense as much as possible. Maybe it's a different story if Jonathan Taylor comes back, but Roy, that's going to be a pity party all season in Indy. So I'm staying away from Pittman. Now I will say this, or ask you this: would you rather start Herbert or Rashawn Johnson against Green Bay?
Herbert.
Like 99.9% or
100. Roshan, I'm operating under the assumption Herbert's the guy. Roshan will come in on third downs when needed. But if I think that when you look at the Luke Getsy offense, what they're going to try to do, they're going to try to run the football with Herbert as the lead guy, with Fields on his legs, and then they're going to build off that running game to create play action passing and get Fields out into space. Fields is very good on bootlegs, open field. He was one of the better outside of the pocket throwers last year. Now you got DJ Moore. You got, Darnell Mooney's healthy. Chase Claypool's got another year under his belt. Cole Kmet. I think that offense as a whole. I think Herbert, and by the way, Herbert's like one of those guys when he plays is awesome. When he gets like I think we looked at his career so far. He's played 8 games where he played 40% of the snaps. He's been very good for fantasy. So I would, and the matchup's good. The Packers aren't not a scary run defense. So that's why I'm going to go Herbert there 100%. All right, let's go to Nathan's question here. Nathan, pick one running back, please. You know what, Nathan? Honestly, I think super chats are number 1. Anybody who puts please in their comment is number 2. We should get you up the ranks. I appreciate the please. It's very nice of you. Standard league, which, by the way, Nathan, tell the friends, get a half PPR going, my buddy. It's nice. It's fun. Keep things fresh. Antonio Gibson, Akers, James Cook. I think this is probably easy for us, Matt, but what's your thoughts?
We've been all over Akers this morning. I think that I stick with Akers with James Cook a very close second.
Holy cow. Got an update. But yeah, I'm going to go Cam Akers. That's a slam dunk for me, man. Big news. Cordell Patterson is a scratch today. That is big. Cordell Patterson's like this weapon that they use. He's out. Mike Hughes, who's also another cornerback for the Falcons, is out today. That's interesting as well with Jeff Okudah. Mark Andrews officially is out today, not playing. Tyler Huntley is not backing up. That's interesting. Ben Cleveland, guard, out today as well. Adam Thielen's officially in today, so that's notable. Jumping down to Houston, we already talked about those. We're good there. JaMychal Hasty, running back for the Jaguars, underrated, out today. That means it's going to be Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I like that. That's notable. That's an underrated one, especially because of JaMychal Hasty was expected to be the third down back. So that could be something. That's definitely notable. Any thoughts about that? Do you think that bumps up Travis Etienne in your books, Matt?
I think he was already where he needed to be. And I'm not concerned with Hasty taking touches away from him, but they would have taken them away from Bigsby. So if you're in a deep league, like we have our Raz Writers League that's 16 teams, I think Bigsby moves up a little bit in that format.
We also have Kendra Miller's officially out. We talked about that a little bit earlier. It looks like you're going to see a lot of Jamal Williams today.
Yep.
As well. And then let's see. We got Tyron Davis-Price inactive. No one's really surprised with that one. Let's see. Tampa Bay, Keyshawn Vaughn is inactive. That's interesting. It looks like Sean Tucker's definitely the number 2. Logan Thomas is officially active today. He's in the lineup. So that's good news for me and my sleeper tight end stuff. All right, let's get down to the next question. I went Cam Akers as well, and I apologize for fading away, but we want to make sure we get all the latest injury updates for you. Mike Evans or Alexander Madison, PPR. Madison has the Bucs, same game. What do you think, PPR?
Evans, and I love the Jackalope. What a great name. Keep bringing that the handles like Jackalope, and you're gonna catch our favor. Mike Evans for me, and it's not even close.
PPR, I am going to go Evans as well. I think Madison is going to be he's going to get so many touches, though. I think it's like he's probably going to get – I can see Madison going like 20 for 65. And then and honestly, Madison
and 3 for 19.
I was super high on Madison. I had him much higher than consensus. I am in on Madison this year. I think all the inefficiency stuff is overblown. Madison, by the way, when you actually isolate the games where he actually got touches, instead of like the hardest thing for a running back, everyone's like, he was so inefficient last year. I'm like, he got like 1 to 3 carries in like 90% of the games. Like, what do you expect from the guy? He's getting the ball in the last drive. Hey, Madison, go kill the clock. We don't want Dalvin Cook to get hurt. Go run these plays when we know it's an obvious run play to kill the clock. Like, so when he actually is on the field, he is productive. But the Bucs run defense is legit. Like, the Bucs run defense has always been good. And so I don't think Madison's going to have a monster day, but I think he's very good for a touchdown. But I think Mike Evans, call it a hunch, mixing up the secondary. Baker, I think I took an optimistic view with Baker. We talked about this a bunch, Matt. I know you've been high on it, Mike Evans. We talked about this a lot, like where I think the pass volume is going to change. There's they lost Ryan Jensen now. It could be a dumpster fire there. But Minnesota, is the game in Minnesota? I think that's a good question. The game is, of course, that's the one. Yeah, it's in Minnesota. I think Minnesota's going to put up points. And I think they're going to have to throw. You brought this up. You're like, Baker's going to throw 2 interceptions or 3 interceptions in the first half, and then they're going to throw a bunch in the second half. I just think that if you're looking at the spreads of that game, I think that you're going to probably find yourself, and honestly, it could be 3. They could be down 2-3 touchdowns. I don't care. That still counts for fantasy football. And I think Mike Evans is going to rack up targets. In a full PPR, I'm going to go Mike Evans as well. Lynn Dolphins. Is there a Giants wide receiver you could point at? I'm thinking Campbell one day, Slayton is the next, Hyatt the day after, Hodgins, Wandell, Sherp. Stay away from the receiving cores for now. I've talked about this a bunch, Matt, but what's your thoughts about the Giants receiving core?
I wouldn't point at any of them except to say, go, get away. It's Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. I'm not going after any of the 3.
Wandell Robinson and Sterling Shepard are both coming off serious injuries. I like Shep. He's good, but the guy can't stay healthy. Wandell Robinson, I think he did flash, and he was handpicked by Brian Daboll. I do think he's the long-term slot guy. And I think in a dynasty format, he's a nice buy low. For this season, I think you got your 3 receivers. I think it's Slayton, it's going to be Hodgins, and it's going to be Paris Campbell early on. Do I think Hyatt can probably pass one of those guys up? Maybe. But I think Hodgins and Slayton kind of complement each other well. Slayton is a nice outside guy who could get down the field a little bit. Hodgins is like this big body red zone guy, and then and Campbell's your slot guy. If I'm going to pick anybody in a PPR, I'm going to go Campbell. I think you're probably going to see Cole Beasley over the 3-year stretch from 2019 to 2021 when he was with Buffalo under Brian Daboll, average a 17-game pace of 120 targets. So the role is solid. I'm big on Daniel Jones. If you haven't watched this channel, I'm all in on the Giants. It's nothing to do with the fact that I'm a Giants fan. It's just the fact that I believe in Brian Daboll. Daniel Jones is a good football player. I think Joe Judge just butchered him. Joe Judge and Jason Garrett were just horrible at coaching. Terrible. If you're a Giants fan, you remember those years. It was egregious. But anyway, my point is, Paris Campbell, I think, is going to have a decent role this year. And we kind of saw in the first preseason game, it's Darren Waller 1. Matt's right. It's Darren Waller's the guy. But if you're going to take a dart throw stash, I'm going to put it in PPR. I'm going to do a Paris Campbell. And even half, I would say Paris Campbell. I just think that there's probably a good bet where he sees 3. He had like 3 targets in that one drive. He was the next guy. So I think that's where I lean. Matt, any final thoughts before we move on?
Check your text, but I'm with you on that. It's Campbell for me, day 1. I think Hyatt is probably the long term. Like if you're in a dynasty league, Hyatt's absolutely the guy. And as a Giants fan, how long is the Slayton contract? Is this the last year of that contract? Like, can they end? Is that chapter done? Go ahead. I think it helps when they get to move on from that. It was a horrendous contract. Just was not what they needed.
No, I think you're thinking of Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, but they're the same player.
No, I can't do this with you. I can't do this with you.
I was thinking Golladay.
You're thinking Kenny G.
Yeah, Slayton's the better option, but I think that when they can clean out some of the mess from that wide receiver room, so they don't have 17 guys trying to get the football, it's still Waller and it's Barkley.
Well, so here's the thing, okay? Hodgins was a restricted free agent, so they had the exclusive rights. So they re-signed him for like $800,000. And he had nowhere to go. He couldn't go anywhere. So Hodges was a no-brainer. He was coming back because he played well down the stretch, but they had this great exclusive rights contract. Jalen Hyatt is the next pick because they did give Slayton a 2-year contract. Slayton earned his contract. Slayton was not one of Brian Daboll's guys. Brian Daboll didn't even play him early on last year. but he earned his way back into the graces of Dayball, and he played well. And Slayton's another one of those guys. His rookie season, he had 700 yards, 8 touchdowns with Daniel Jones, and he was also affected by this Joe Judge thing. Like, I think that Slayton is an underrated player. He outperformed his rookie year. They gave him a 2-year, $12 million contract to say, hey, man, you know you do your thing. They do have an out after this season. The Paris Campbell thing is more interesting because technically Wan'Dale Robinson is the guy, but because Wan'Dale Robinson and Sterling Shepard are coming off these major injuries, I don't think they could wait for them to get up to speed. They need to invest right now in Daniel Jones. They just gave him a bunch of money. They made it to the second round of the playoffs last year. They are ready to win now. Daniel Jones is ready to win now. Brian Daboll's ready to win now. And really the only thing there's two things. It's the 49ers and the Eagles standing in their way. Like, they got to get through them. Dallas, not really worried about it. So Campbell's a 1-year contract. They bring him in. They hold down the fort. Wan'Dale Robinson will be getting healthy, but they don't need to worry about rushing him back this season. Because next year, it's going to be Jalen Hyatt probably, as long as he develops well. Wan'Dale Robinson as well in the slot. And then you're probably going to have to look at either Slayton or go out and get another guy, because I don't think Hodgins is long-term, and neither is Slayton. But I think that's why the receiving corps got mapped out the way it did, because of the injuries to Shepard and Wan'Dale. So they brought in Paris Campbell for that reason. Then they brought in like Cole Beasley, and they brought in Jamison Crowder. They clearly wanted a slot guy, which is clear as hell. Slayton earned his contract, and then Hodgins was a no-brainer for them. Like, they pay him nothing. They're like, hey, they don't even pay him $1 million. And the guy was really good down the stretch, but I think he will take a step back behind those other guys. So it's Waller's passing game, 100%. But the problem with Waller is Daniel Bellinger is the Isaiah Likely to Darren Waller. Like, as soon as Waller gets hurt and he's not playing, go pick up Daniel Bellinger. Bellinger should be like viewed the same way as Isaiah Likely is to Mark Andrews. Like, he started showing a lot last year. He was also brought in by this coaching staff. You also will see more 2 tight end sets, which is maybe a slight ding to Paris Campbell because he is a slot guy. And Hodgins and Slayton are bigger bodies, so they might be better in 2 receiver sets. But I could see Daniel Bellinger getting out there a little bit too for 2 tight end sets as well. All right.
Right. So I'm going to let you get a drink of water. I know that you're drying out there.
Yeah.
The better half, did she bring you something? Look at her. Yeah. There's the real MVP right there. Keeps the host hydrated. All right. So now that we have talked about the Giants enough for the first 3 weeks of the season, I'll move on. I'll move on to the next question. I'll read it off for you. You can take a little bit of a breather, right?
Thanks, Matt.
You've got it. So we've talked about one of these guys, well, actually 2 of them over the last couple of hours and actually over the last couple of weeks. So our buddy Vito, not to be confused with the Don, who we had earlier, and maybe we'll see Don Vito later. That would be the trifecta for me, followers. Pick 2, PPR, Burks, Van Jefferson, and Rashad Bateman. While Bob's kind of collecting his stuff here and looking at injuries, I'll tell you, for me, Treylon Burks for sure. And I probably lean Jefferson, even though I don't want to. I'd prefer to start Bateman because I don't have a lot of confidence in Van Jefferson. Burks is in for sure. Bob, I will allow you to convince me of one of the other 2 because you certainly have Treylon Burks as one of them.
I don't.
You don't.
It's not. I'm okay. I would, out of these 3, Treylon Burks is the guy. I think he's clearly. You got Bateman, who is still coming off his foot injury, and his 6 score is 78. So he's not completely off the radar. But like, I'm one of those people who have been. I think a lot of people are all in on Lamar Jackson this year and the passing attack, and I just want to pump the brakes just a little bit because this is not the same offense. Like, Lamar Jackson's coming in learning Todd Monken's offense. So this offseason, Bateman has been in and out all offseason dealing with foot injuries. Odell Beckham has been in and out of the offseason because his injuries. Now he's not even playing, right? Zay Flowers, really good player, but he's a rookie, right? Like, so now Mark Andrews is not playing. It just seems like there's a lot of red flashing lights. Like, hey, just so you know, they had to implement a brand new offense. Lamar Jackson was dealing with contract stuff. And by the way, every one of his weapons have been hurt and or are not playing or a rookie. Like, it's just, so I think I want to take a cautious approach. I think the Ravens I think Lamar Jackson is a tier above Herbert, Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott, but I have him slightly lower than Burrow and Fields. Just my opinion. That's my ranking of them. I think Lamar Jackson's a top 6 quarterback. I love him a lot. But I think from my perspective, if I can avoid injured players, I'm going to avoid them. Bateman is one of those guys. He could easily re-aggravate that foot injury in the game, right? So I personally would say Van Jefferson, but the only problem with Van Jefferson is that Seattle is the second toughest matchup for outside receivers. That's where Van Jefferson's going to have to make his money. Even with Cooper Kupp out, I don't want to play him. I don't want to play Van Jefferson, and I don't want to play Bateman. So, Vito, if I could be rude, I would love to try something different. I think I would probably take the potential upside of Bateman, even with the injury. Because I think Van Jefferson, that Seattle secondary is starting to get – they started talking a little bit about old school Legion of Boom type stuff. They're like, this secondary is getting real good. So I'm going to stick to the metrics. I'm going to say Bateman. I'm going to say Treylon Burks. I'm going to wish you nothing but luck, Vito, because we appreciate you being on, man. I do appreciate you being on, but I think that's a tough one. That's a tough sell. I think the Van Jefferson matchup is tough. So I would go.
Now maybe if
Burks.
Vito's still on, maybe Vito, if this is a flex versus a wide receiver, maybe he's got some other people he wants to throw into the chat that make us feel a little bit better than either Jefferson or Bateman. So we'll stay tuned for that. But for me, we're both in on Burks for sure. We're lukewarm on Bateman over Jefferson.
Here's a deep. So let's do this instead. Let's have some fun with it. Let's say deeper names that I would consider potentially. Darius Slayton against Dallas. I would consider that over Van Jefferson this week. Alan Lazard going against Buffalo. Maybe consider that as well, especially with them kind of easing Hall back in and Aaron Rodgers' first game as a Jet. Maybe he sets off some fireworks against Josh Allen. Let's see.
How about Puka?
I hate if I can't tell you, I can't tell you the Sky Moore thing. I talked about Sky Moore for Thursday night, and I said, I like Sky Moore. I think he might be okay. He was terrible. The situation obviously didn't go well, but it's mostly because he didn't play the role I thought he was going to play. He played just as many snaps on the outside that he did in the slot. Puka would play the Robert Woods role. So Robert Woods roll, kind of run around, maybe get some carries. Then you got Tutu Atwell, probably better suited in the slot, but he's also a speed guy. But then they also have Ben Skoranek, who they feel more comfortable with filling that slot role that Cooper Kupp vacated. So we kind of caught a glimpse last year of what this receiving core looks like. You know what? Why are we doing this? Why am I doing this? We saw last year what they did without Cooper Kupp. So I'm just going to take a second to look at that, because I think we saw the last second half of the year that the Rams and how they kind of put out these exact receivers. It was the exact same guys except Puka. So let's see what the Rams.
And Vito's in with Marvin Mims and Tank Dell are also available. I don't know that
Marvin Mims.
Yep.
Marvin Mims. I think
I would probably go
Burks.
I would go Burks and Mims with Judy being out.
I agree.
Yep.
Well, Judy, I think, is in, but he's limited.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of Judy. I'm not a fan of Judy with his current injury tag.
Tank Dell, I don't see having a major role this week because
this is Nico. This is Nico Collins week.
Nico Collins, baby. Yeah, Marvin Mims is interesting. I think the Raiders. I wonder how they're going to deploy Judy if he plays. But yeah, I would feel comfortable with.
That's an afternoon game, right? So we don't have.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Well, let's say Judy's out. That's an easy call. Mims is in. If Judy's not playing, and if
I think Tutu. So here's how it got broken out. I think Judy's going to be limited. Marvin Mims might make a little sense here. I think Marvin Mims over Jefferson and Rashad Bateman, but I don't really have a good feeling about Mims either. I honestly, I understand that if Judy's in, yeah. If Judy's, we're not going to know, unfortunately. So I'm actually going to go Bateman. Just go Bateman. I think Odell is in. Is he inactive officially today? What did I tell you for the injury report? I had it up here. Odell was not on here. Did I not have to talk about Odell?
We did earlier, but I don't think he was on the injury report.
Yeah, he's an 84. He's an 84-6 score, but him and Bateman both are banged up. I thought I had talked about him. Did the Ravens not play until the afternoon too? Oh no,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. They're both in. So Odell's in today. So is Bateman. Only Mark Andrews is out. Okay. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah, I like Burks and Mims, but did you say Baltimore is an afternoon game?
No, they're 1 o'clock. I apologize.
So he's got to make a decision on Bateman now then.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Mims. I'm gonna go Mims and Burks as well.
Yeah, I'm the same. Final
Have
answer
some
for
fun.
me.
Yeah, the Mims thing is weird because like man, I didn't really see it much. Like, was Marvin Mims? Man, this is good on the spot. Like, I'm trying to think.
His helium came at the end of draft season. He started to get talked about more.
But like, how was his usage? Like, he played in 2 preseason games, 26 snaps. Okay. Yeah, Mims. Go Mims. I'm good. Mims, I'm good. I feel comfortable with it. It's hard to tell because like I these playing times for these guys, they're fringe guys. Like sometimes you just want your guy to play. Like, and honestly, if you try to play these fringe guys like Puka and then you try to fit in these guys, it's kind of tough because like we don't know what their role is. We can't guarantee you that their role is going to be good. So I think it's best to just stick to it. But Mims looks like in the preseason he was getting some love there from the Denver Broncos. All right, Patricio, no problem. Go ahead, Matt.
All right,
make sure you say the name too. Say the names.
So 23423, 23423 pops in with a question. It looks like they need 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. We don't know the format. I'm looking to see if there's another comment. No format listed, so we will assume half PPR. Jamal Williams, Khalil Herbert, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, Cortland Sutton. I will turn this over to you. This is very easy for me. 1 wide receiver, 1 flex.
I'm going to go Sutton and Herbert.
No, you're not. You're going Jamal Williams.
No, not against Tennessee. It's in my matchup metric. It is like it's literally the opposite. Like Herbert is the running back. Let's see. Sorry, let me pull it up here. Let's see. Chicago number 2 in my matchup metric. I'm sorry. Chicago's number 1 in the matchup metric. And New Orleans is 32. I'm not joking you. It's Chicago is number 1 and the Saints are 32. I get it. Listen, Willie's probably score a touchdown today. You're right. It's probably Jamal Williams. You're right. But I'm going to go with Herbert. Because
I will go with, so we're both in on Sutton, but we're going to leave the rookie wide receivers on the bench for now. And I will go with Jamal Williams purely on volume. There's just nobody else to take any of the balls away from him. So I'll go Jamal. I'm not disagreeing with Herbert. I do think Rashawn Johnson cuts into that a little bit. We already know that Justin Fields is going to run the football, so that takes a little bit away from Herbert too. So I like Jamal Williams and Sutton. So we're both in on Sutton for 2-3-4-2-3, 2-3-4-2-3. Probably whoever they feel more comfortable with at running back, and then leave the rookie wide receivers on the bench.
Yeah, when you look at the games last year last season he played 40% of the snaps in 4 games for Herbert. He had 19 for 77, 20 for 157, 12 for 62, And then he also had one dud against the Buffalo Bills. That Buffalo Bills game was the bad weather game when everybody was a dumpster fire, and I lost my fantasy game because I started Justin Fields. So that was fun. 6 for 7. So 3 of those games, very strong. But he also got he did have a receiving touchdown in one of those games. Also had 1 or 2 catches for roughly, 20 yards. So I think I'm in, man. I like the matchup. I wonder how he did against Green Bay specifically. Let's see. Yeah, he didn't get a lot. He had 4 carries for 38 yards. That's almost 10 yards a carry against your boys. So I don't know. I think I like it. I think he's going to be, based on some of the stuff with the front 7 that I found, you guys didn't do much to add, but you do have some young guys. In 2021, here's a fun fact for you. 19 for 97 yards and a touchdown against Green Bay. Played 89% of the snaps that game. Whew. I'm all in. Let's do it, Herbert. Get it done today. I put him in my DFS lineup. Why not? All right, we're out of questions, so it's pretty good. We'll give it a couple more minutes. 9:30 is probably a good wrap-up time anyway, Matt. Obviously, we want to make sure we caught everything. Let's just get a quick scan of all the weather content. So why don't we do a quick break? We're going to do a quick break here. Matt, if you have a second, can you do just a quick run through of any game that's out there? So we have the Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, Bears, Broncos, Patriots, Giants. Could you just a quick run through to see if we have any weather updates? We want to make sure we get everybody the information they need. We will do a quick break. We're going to actually show a video on the Razzball. So every offseason, Anime Donkey comes back, and he helps break down some of the best starts and sits, streamers, breakouts, everything you need to know for fantasy football. So we have one from him this offseason. So let's do that really quick, and we'll be back in just a second.
Welcome back to another season of Fave Flyer Fade. We're talking quarterbacks this week, and I'm joined by Grandpa Donkey, who just beat me in a heated game of driveway pickleball. Heated for you, Sonny. I just pickled you. Fave, Justin Fields. Drafting Justin Fields is a lot like playing pickleball in the summer of 2023. Everyone's doing it. Son, if everyone else jumped off a bridge, would you do it too? Of course. How else will I find out what I'm missing out on? Justin Fields rushed for over 1,100 yards on his way to finishing as the number 7 fantasy quarterback in 2022. Now the Chicago offense has added a star wide receiver plus an improved offensive line. Draft Justin Fields and prepare to pickle your opponents. You couldn't pickle a cucumber. Flyer, Kyler Murray. Isn't Murray that quarterback who runs around a lot, but tore his ACL and now might not be able to run around a lot and might not even be able to play football? Gramps, stop embarrassing me in front of my friends. Sure, everything Grandpa Donkey says is technically true, but that's why Kyler Murray is a complete flyer who you can basically get for free at the end of your fantasy drafts. If you're hunting for aces, you'll need to take some risks. Plus, modern medicine is pretty good. Just look at Grandpa Donkey. You'd never guess that he's 140 years old. Ow! 140 in human years. In donkey years, I'm 786 years old. Fade, Tua Tagovailoa. The Dolphins quarterback seemed to have everything going for him back at the start of 2022. 2 star wide receivers and a quickly maturing arm. Then Tua got bopped in the head twice and everything changed. 10-0-2. Ah! Concussion, the risk. Tua, great to away stay. And that's your back quarter ball Raz talk from T Donkey. Game another, Pagran?
All righty. Good little break there from Anime Donkey. Matt, did you find anything out about weather?
Not necessarily weather, but it looks like Rashad Penny is trending to be a healthy scratch today.
Wow. I'm that's dude, I gotta tell you, like I had this weird when I first started my top 150, I had DeAndre Swift very high. I just was like, this guy, man. I was all in on him last year. That didn't work out. Dan Campbell hated him. I don't know what the hell happened there. But I think Kenneth Gainwell is an interesting name to like stash as well. But I think Swift's gonna be awesome. If Penny's out, man, Penny's out, and that's the other thing. Who's going to be the goal line back? I mean, Gainwell is not a big back either. So Gainwell is like, they're like, oh, yeah, he's going to be our 2-minute drill guy. Okay. All right. Interesting. I love football. I love week 1. Good stuff. All right. Let's get into it. All right. We have would you start Johnson or Addison over Ridley or Mike Williams? Sorry for not clarifying earlier, but I do believe it's half PPR. Honestly, no way. I'm starting Mike Williams and Ridley. No worries there.
Yep.
Lindorphins, have you ever gone with DT on one of his meditation silent retreats? Would you allow to say so if you have? Honestly, that's a secret society, Lindorphins. So we're not allowed to speak about any of that stuff. And if we do,
I don't even know what he's talking about.
If you get a knock on your door today, you'll know why. All right. You don't talk about meditation retreats. All right. But that's a good call out. I love it. All right. 2-3-3, 2-4-3, 2-3, 2-3-4, 3-3. All right. Swift, Madison, Mike Williams, half PPR flex, different league. Swift, Madison, Mike Williams. Whoa. What do you think, Matt?
Well, I mean, how timely is this that we got the Rashad Penny healthy scratch news? Give me all the Swift I can take.
The interesting thing about the Miami Dolphins is that they were set up to be one of the best secondaries. They were going to have Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey, and then Jalen Ramsey gets hurt. They still have Xavier Howard, though, who's very good. So I think I'm going to lean Swift. I'm kind of just feeling the momentum a little bit. Mike Williams and DeAndre Swift are two of my guys this year. And Madison, to be honest with you. I had all three of these guys really high. But so I'm going to lean Swift. I think let's take a look at this because I think this is a good question too. I don't think Swift's going to have a major passing game role. I just don't think mobile quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, they also have 3 stud weapons, like not just regular weapons. They have studs. They have Smith, Brown, Goddard. So I don't think running back's a necessity in the passing game. But I think it is important to see the Patriots and how they handled pass-catching running backs last year because I think that would be important to know. And I do have it broken out in a spreadsheet somewhere, but I will just look at this. So the Patriots last year were tough against running backs, but that's only because they allowed 5 touchdowns. They allowed the 11th most yards to running backs, receiving yards. And then they also allowed, let's see, they're only 26th. I wonder why their DVOA metrics are so bad then. But they were 26th in the running back yards. But yeah, so they allowed a decent amount of passing yards. I think we're going to go Swift here. I like Swift, but Mike Williams, let me just double check that because I don't think Vic Fangio is a stud, an absolute stud defensive coordinator. So I think he's going to bring out the Dolphins secondary, even without Jalen Ramsey, is going to be solid. Yeah, I'm going to go Swift. What's your thoughts, Matt? Did you answer this one?
Yeah, Swift for me as well, especially with the Penny being a scratch.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got, Matt. I mean, this was a hell of a run, man. This was 2.5 hours of Sunday live start sit shows. I know we both got fantasy leagues. We got DFS lineups. I do want to bring up one thing, all right? And it's my favorite segment of the day, and it's kickers, okay? I just broke down my kicker primer. We talked about this all off season. Guys I really like. I want to make sure that the people know where to go. If you guys go to Razzball.com, you can see my kicker article. It's up now. I talk about the sleeper kickers of 2023. For this week, Aubrey, Dallas Cowboy kicker, is my #1 streamer kicker. Go pick him up as long as the weather commits in the Meadowlands. I think he's going to have a big day. Obviously, if you didn't get one of the stud kickers like that, like Jason Myers or Daniel Carlson, we're really high on. Another kicker I really like is the San Francisco rookie Moody. If you want to go pick up him, Brock Purdy was awesome for Robbie Gould last year. So he's got an interesting matchup as well against Pittsburgh, who has a good defense, but they'll be able to move the football. So you might get a couple field goals out of there as well. So make sure you go check those out. If you need a streamer kicker this week. Matt, any final thoughts for the people before we close the show?
No, other than it might be time for me to admit that Justin Fields is okay for fantasy football.
Oh, for fantasy football, he's going to be absolutely great. I think he's my bold prediction, number one quarterback this year. Let's get it done. I wasn't on the Crazy Takes calls show with you guys, and those got wild. Honestly, I've never seen universally hated comments before on every platform. I did shorts for everyone. I think on TikTok, IG, YouTube, everywhere. Every single person was like, what is wrong with these guys? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, wow, I love the connectivity of every platform. It was perfect. But I don't have anything hot like Baker Mayfield finishes in a top 12. I think my hottest take would be Sam Howell and Logan Thomas are a league-winning stack, and they each finished top 12 at their position. That would be my hottest take I think I got.
Yep,
All
for
right.
me, it's Daniel Jones. I came out with, not on my list, I didn't write it up. Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown are the Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson for 2023.
Jared Goff. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't think Goff. I think Goff is like, he was like okay, I don't want to put any slander to Jared Goff's name because he played very well last year and he's good. He's average. He's an average quarterback. And I think he had Sean McVay. McVay got whatever he could out of him. He took the Rams to a Super Bowl, which is awesome. Then it was kind of like he kind of hit a wall. And Sean McVay's like, I can't win with this guy. So he was an add-in to the Matthew Stafford trade. The Lions really wanted him, which is great because Goff is a former first-round pick, but also it's very hard to find a really good quarterback, right? Like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't grow on trees. There isn't a Patrick Mahomes every draft. So Jared Goff showed last year that you can win with him, and he's a borderline playoff team, and they just beat the Chiefs. Great. I just don't think he can elevate talent around him. I don't think he's a talent elevator. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud, so he's good with Jared Goff. Like, Cooper Kupp went to a different level with Matthew Stafford, right? He was capped by Jared Goff. So I think there's got to be some... But it's a bold prediction. Obviously, I think your most realistic take is like he's probably good and Amon-Ra St. Brown's a top 5 receiver, right? It's not like your bold prediction is that Goff's a stud and Amon-Ra's number 1 receiver in fantasy. Like, but I hear you. All right.
We got a couple more questions, and we have a Bobby LaMarco burner account check-in for everybody.
Got to make sure we get the burner account in there.
Usually it's James Gannon comes in with, hey, looking good, Bob. Love your show. You sound great.
I heard your I was just going to say something crazy. I'm not going to say that. All right. Anyway. Okay. All right. PPR League Flex, Deontay Johnson or Raheem Mostert? It's a good question. I'm going to lean Mostert. What's your thoughts here, Matt?
Today, Mostert.
Yeah. All right. Fields or Lawrence, week 1.
All yours, Bob. Do you want me to say it?
I can't. I don't think this is as easy as it sounds because I think the Colts secondary, I don't really see it. I don't see the Colts secondary putting up any fight today. They lost Stephon Gilmore. Gus Bradley's solid, but they also had to get rid of one of their other cornerbacks because he got suspended because of the gambling stuff. So I think Lawrence is great too. Let me just check something real quick. How did he do last year against Green Bay? Not great.
No. He wasn't great throwing the ball.
Yeah, what did he have rushing? Oh my God, 71 yards and a touchdown. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Fields. I can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah. I think that's. I'll even say it.
I got to tell you, this is the type of scenario. My advice to you is not just about start sits. It's about like understanding that you have these two elite quarterbacks. You could probably turn one of them into a trade. Like, so quarterbacks are when you have two really good quarterbacks like this, you might be in a league. There might be two scenarios. One, you got aggressive. There was good value on Lawrence. Lawrence fell maybe 2 rounds. You're like, I can't pass on this guy. I have him as a top 8 quarterback, right? The other aspect is that your league as a whole doesn't value quarterbacks. Like I have home leagues that quarterbacks were not drafted in the first like 3-4 rounds. So there's people don't care as much because they know late round quarterback, they can get a guy. But that being said, if you just look at your roster, you're probably going to start Fields most weeks. So Lawrence is not giving you any value. So I think there's got to be a way where you can package Lawrence and maybe your RB2 and get an upgrade. Like, I'm not saying you don't trade Lawrence for an RB2 because that team probably still needs a good RB. What I'm saying is go get yourself an upgrade. Go trade a wide receiver 3 in Lawrence for a wide receiver 2. Go trade Lawrence and an RB2 for maybe a borderline RB1. Try to get an upgrade at another position and package that together. That would be my advice here. All right, let's get to another question here. And that's not what I wanted. Okay. Is Joe Burrow and Saquon for Justin Fields and Kenneth Walker a fair trade? So it's Burrow and Saquon for Fields and Kenneth Walker. I would go Burrow and Barkley.
It's fair, but I'm not taking it. If I roster Burrow and Saquon, I'm not entertaining that.
Is it a veto? No. And I don't think you ever should veto a trade. I don't think the team that gets Fields and Kenneth Walker are getting necessarily shaken down. But I don't think you can get higher than me on Fields and Kenneth Walker. I honestly don't. But I still would not do that deal because Barkley's a number 1 first-round pick. Walker I had like almost as a borderline second-round pick. So trust me, I'm in, but I would not take that deal. Jamie, welcome back, buddy. How you doing? Jamie pops in early, comes in late. That's the best part about it. All right, he's got Jaden Reed because of the injuries to the current Packers receiving core. Of course, if you have not watched the show all day, we talked a little bit about Christian Watson being out today and also Romeo Doubs being on a snap count. So Jaden Reed could be a huge factor in this game against Chicago. And then you have Alexander Madison in a really tough matchup against the Bucs. So what do you think, Matt?
I think we talked about it earlier. For me, it's volume, and I think that it's Madison for volume. So I don't love either one, but for me, it's the volume.
I agree. And then Alexander Madison. Why is he on your team, Jamie? Why is he on your team, Jamie? Why did you draft Alexander Madison if you're going to drop these comments in there? Come on. Got to be honest with yourself here, buddy. What is going on?
We love Jamie, but you don't have to go down to that level today. You don't have to do that.
Matt, I am the rabbit hole. I'm just a giant rabbit hole right now. So I don't even, at this point, I'm out. Like we're 2 hours, 36 minutes into this podcast. I still haven't even looked at my lineups yet. I don't even know. I got Zach Moss probably floating around. I need to put in an IR spot. So let's get this going here. Full PPR, need 2. James Gannon, by the way, shout out to James Gannon, one of the greatest men of all time, top 5 people in the world. Needs 2 of these wide receivers, Brandon Cooks, Drake London, Amari Cooper. So Cooper has got the Cincinnati Bengals today. Drake London has got the Carolina Panthers, and Brandon Cooks goes Sunday night against the New York Giants. What's your thoughts here?
We talked about this earlier, about the up-and-coming Carolina defense, especially the DBs. So give me Cooks Sunday night and give me Cooper in what I think will be a little bit more of a shootout than the Atlanta-Carolina game will be.
So this is interesting. So it's important to note that the Bengals are relatively healthy on defense. But where they are hurt is they do have some nicks at cornerback. Chidobe Awuzie, their top outside cornerback, is coming off a serious injury. He tore his right ACL last season. He might play, but his 6 score is 38. So Amari Cooper, I think, is in my lineup. I'm starting him in this matchup. Then you look at Drake London versus Brandon Cooks. Man, Drake London versus Brandon Cooks. I think when you look at the numbers, do you believe in the fact that Carolina is going to be improved this year?
Yes.
Because I think we do. We think the Carolina secondary is going to be better under Evero. I can't even say his name, but he was the Denver Broncos DC last year. Very young, talented DC. The Broncos defense was great last year, especially in the secondary. So they have so much talent too, the Carolina Panthers. But London versus Cooks. I think the Giants are an underrated defense too. I think that let me just check. I don't even know why I don't have my slot versus wide metric. It's like, is this my first Sunday live show, Bob? Like, honestly, like the fact that I don't have my slot versus wide up. Okay. So the Giants last year were 12th most fantasy points allowed out wide. Carolina was third. So.
And Carolina's better this year.
I know. I'm going to go Drake London, Mari Cooper. Do I feel great about it? No, but that's why you did a good job drafting, James. Great job. Great having great options. You're a great man. Love every second of it. All right, Jefferson, 23. It's just me on the side. You're doing great, Bob. Better defense start. Jacksonville at Indy, New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to go Jacksonville all day here. What's your thoughts, Matt?
I'm going Jacksonville too. And is that our new Jefferson, 23? Is that your new hire?
Oh, I don't know. Is it? Is that Jeff?
I think that's him.
Jeff. Welcome to the team. Jeff will be writing our takeaways article every Monday at Razzball.com. So go check it out. We appreciate Jeff. If that's our Jeff. If it's not Jeff, then I don't know who that. Then don't.
That's him.
See his article. Proof. It's his. Hey, nice, Jeff. We appreciate you, buddy. All right. James Gannon again.
Where was he 3 hours ago? We'll talk about that off the air.
All right. Yeah. Half PPR, Keenan Allen or Olave. Geez, why is this even a question, James? Why? How did you pull that off? I wonder what your other options are, because Keenan Allen against Miami in the slot is okay. Olave against – I can't sit Olave. I'm going to go Olave here.
Olave for me as well.
He should have an awesome game. Jamie coming back at me telling me it's a dynasty league, Bob. I drafted him 2 years ago. Touche, Jamie. My apologies. Anyway, Drew. 14 team, half PPR, 2 flex, MPJ. Who's MPJ?
Michael Pittman Jr.
Duh. P. Ryan, Michael Thomas, and Zay Flowers. Pick 2. Go ahead, Matt.
P. Ryan for sure. And I know you're a little bit higher on Thomas today, not necessarily season long, but today you've got him kind of as your as a wide receiver 3 option. I think I might go for the home run here with Flowers, with Andrews being out. So I wouldn't feel great about it, but I would go P. Ryan and Flowers. And I know that you're going to be slightly different.
Well, it's just because P. Ryan, that's another situation. Javonte, then they got this McLaurin kid now. Like, what's P. Ryan's role going to be? Like, I don't have a clue. And the Raiders, that defense is not, I'm not saying it's scary, but like, I don't know. Michael Thomas going against the Tennessee Titans today. Tennessee is like the best out wide matchup. They did bring in some Sean Murphy bunting, and they do have Fulton coming back from injury, but I'm not scared by the Titans secondary. So I'm going to go Thomas and Flowers. I think those are probably your best shots. All right. Defense question, Cameron Hill. New Orleans or Cincinnati? Cincinnati's got Cleveland. New Orleans got Tennessee. I think that when you look at the matchup, you would think the strength of the New Orleans run defense versus that Titans run offense, if they could slow Derrick Henry down. But now you have DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks and Chig Okongwu. So I think I probably would go with Cincinnati. I think Deshaun Watson is still a little, not everything's firing on all cylinders. I personally would take Jacksonville over both these guys and the Washington Commanders. But what's your thoughts, Matt?
I'm same with you. If you have New Orleans out of the draft, you can safely start them based on league schedule for probably 8 to 9 weeks. But if you're looking to stream, I would stream either Washington or Jacksonville today.
Okay. Well, that's all we got. All right, man. 9:45. We did it. We did a lot of it. It was good work. Just want to make sure that everybody knows to make sure we'll be here every Sunday live for 3 hours up until kickoff or until you guys want to ask questions. We have broken down everything you need to know up until kickoff. So we have all the injuries updated throughout the show. We talked a lot about the players that are in and out. Go check out our partners at sixscore.com. They do a great job breaking down injuries, but you can always come to the Sunday live show. Weather updates. It seems like most of the weather impacted games will be okay based on the timing of the weather. We didn't see anything too alarming in that sense. And then finally, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you jump on. Join us live every Sunday. Make sure you also become a super chatter, guys. We really would appreciate any donation you're willing to give to the show. 10% of all of your donations will go to our the charity we're working with this season, Good Sports. Good Sports is a youth organization that helps donate sporting equipment to underprivileged communities to help kids play sports. So we're going to send 10% of any money that's donated to the show directly to Good Sports. So we do appreciate, guys, anything you're willing to give us. We do put a lot of work into this as well. Once again, I'm your host, Bobby LaMarco. Enjoy the first Sunday of football. I got to go set my lineups. I got to go move some things around. Matt, final thoughts before we close.
Sometimes Fields.
Sometimes Fields. Thank you once again for joining, everybody. We are out of here, folks.